one. Fight.
Sure.
Wednesday, November 2nd. Guys, it's Double Impact. I left my Halloween background up. I'll change that later. I know. I'm so excited, guys. We know what we named this show after. We know, right? Well, we have one of the guys that made all of these amazing movies that we loved as young men and as kids, that inspired us, our love of action, kung fu, martial arts, all of it. That zenith of action movies from the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s. He's here tonight. Todd Senofonte, Jean-Claude Van Damme's former body double and stuntman. Oh my gosh, it's such an honor to have you here. And of course, we have the great Jericho Green and my buddy Shantan Jetty. Welcome to Double Impact, a very special episode. Everyone, how you doing?
Great, man.
What's up? What's up?
I'm tired just watching that highlight reel of you.
Man.
Insane.
That was
Okay,
awesome, man.
he's talented, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever that guy is, he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he's good looking too.
Right.
Now, you did a lot of doubling of Van Damme. We're going to get into it. We're going to get a double impact. But Can you do his French accent? I'm putting you on the spot. This is crappy of me to do this.
Usually after I have a couple 2-3 Rolling Rocks, then I get,
Okay.
I ease into it.
Okay.
No, I don't try to do that stuff.
Okay.
I'm a nice guy.
All right. That was a horrible question for me to ask. I do not apologize.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
I
I
just
gained a
want
new
to.
appreciation, man. I was looking at I found video footage of Fist of Legend 2, and I got that stretched out, and I was frame by framing that stuff. That's a whole nother conversation.
Well,
Amazing
that
work.
was my first on-screen film as myself, and I actually got that role on the Quest.
Nice.
The I forgot his name now. Master, the guy when they had all the fights, he's up in the balcony and he says, "Okay, end them." He's the one that actually gave my information to a guy in New York, George Tan, as a producer, and George Tan called me up and said, "Look, you were highly recommended. Are you available to work on Fist of Legend 2 as a Russian fighter?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So that's pretty much how I got that role. It's like I was telling Gabe on our first interviews. It's timing and luck. Especially in this business, and it's more of luck than timing. But in this case, it was just all timing. I was in the right place at the right time, and then I got that role. And we filmed it in Taiwan.
Right face, right place.
The right face, right face, right place. I like that. Yeah,
That's right.
and we filmed that in Taiwan. So it was the first time I was ever in Taiwan. It was so hot, and the scenes that we did, because they took an old movie, they chopped it up, and then they added our scenes in it.
Oh wow,
That's Sammo Hung there, legend.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's a great guy, really nice guy.
Now,
So-
when you double for somebody like Van Damme, obviously you have to be in shape. But did you have to do any did they want you to have like the Van Damme body? Did you have to do any tweaking to your own physique, or was it pretty much out of the box? You're good to go.
I was always, all year round, I was always in shape. I was in the military. So that really, after I graduated military, it just gave me the motivation just to keep in shape. And then with Jean-Claude, meeting him, it was just an inspiration and also a motivation to keep in shape all year round, because you just never know when you get the call. And let me just give you a really quick story. For the film Pound of Flesh, we filmed it in China. They had started the film a month prior me getting the call, because they already had a stunt guy out there that did a lot of the action. And here's an example of being ready. I get the call and they said, "Hey, we're wondering if you're available, to go to China to work with Jean-Claude on Pound of Flesh." And I'm thinking, in a week or two, I said, "Yeah, when do you need me?" Now. So in a matter of 3 days,
Wow.
I was on a plane heading to China. So that's another, example of just, you never know. You got to be ready.
Stay ready. Yeah, stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They say success is hard work meets opportunity. But if you guys, you mentioned you were in Pound of Flesh. So I just Googled it quickly to throw up the poster. You got to be careful Googling Pound of Flesh, guys.
That is
Yes, we
true.
do.
I just saw like three horrific things that I did not want to look for.
Yeah, not the pound
Take
you're
a
looking
turn.
for.
It's an interesting name. Yeah.
Yeah, Pound of Flesh. So Google with caution, people. Yikes. Goodness. Yeah, but we'll get into Double Team right here, which I think it's so of its time. Dennis Rodman.
Oh yeah.
Mickey Rourke with the lion in the Coliseum. This thing, what was this? 98, right? 97,
97.
98?
It was
97.
90. Yeah, we filmed it 96.
Okay. So that's right when those Chicago Bulls had just done another three-peat, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They went 96, 97, 98.
Right.
They did a three-peat again. So Dennis Rodman, and he was a huge part of that.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
on a different level then.
Right.
Now, overall, how was Rodman? How would you
I mean, when the camera's off, he was asking me, He goes, well, how did you get this job? I gave him the short version of what I did and how I got to meet Jean-Claude. And he was like, he goes, wow, man, that's great, man. It's incredible. And I told him, I said, hey, Dennis, I said, if we have some time, we can, go over to the park and I can show you how to throw some free throws,
Oh,
like joking around. He was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a sense of humor too. Really nice guy. Even Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke was. I mean, he's a legend. And
right.
and when I was doing the interviews with Gabe, the 5-part series, all these actors that I've met, you see them on screen. You ask yourself, I wonder how they are like in real life. And Dennis Rodman, Mickey Rourke, Powers Booth, all these, Sir Roger Moore. I mean. They're just, you're in awe because you watch these guys on film and then all of a sudden you're on set with them. So it was surreal for me. It was a great experience.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome, man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Can you, Todd, would it be a problem for you to give the audience as concise a rundown as you can of how because you weren't an actor before, and then you got told by a few people that you look like that kickboxer guy. And then you remember, like, can you do a short version of that so people can see?
Yeah, the short story long. Once upon a time, I was not. It all happened back when I graduated basic training. The night before basic training, our drill sergeants rolled in a TV, VCR, and they put the movie Kickboxer in. And we started watching the movie, and all the guys were looking at me. I'm like, what the hell are you looking at? And they're like, man, you look like that guy. I said, well, who is it? Well, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme. I was like, wow, yeah. So we started watching the movie, and we're like, yeah, I see the resemblance. So I graduated basic training. I went back to Pennsylvania. Me and my buddies went down to this bar in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and it was an outdoor setting. So we walk in, and I see Ray Hollett, one of the original American Gladiators. Her fighting name was Zap. She had like the straight blonde hair. I walked in. I said, hey, Ray, I'm Todd Senofonte. She goes, I thought you were Jean-Claude Van Damme when you walked in. I said, so many people have told me that. She goes, before you leave, come see me. I said, okay. So me and my buddies walk around the patio. It started raining. I said, guys, you want to take off? Hold on, I got to go see Ray. I find Ray. I said, Ray, we're going to take off. She goes, okay, let's have lunch next week. I really want to talk to you. I said, okay. So we have lunch next week. I wrote up a bio. I gave it to her, and she's reading it. She goes, Todd, you should really try to do something with this. I said, well, what do you recommend? Have some pictures taken, try to take some classes. So I remember I was home at my parents' house. I was looking through the paper, and it said model needed for a brochure. I called the place up. Yeah, we can definitely use you. So I go down, and it was for like an appliance maintenance. So they gave me this shirt. It says Joe on it with a long screwdriver. And I'm, screwing the screws into the stove. And they say, okay, look at the camera. Look away. Look at the camera. And the guy taking my picture goes, you know who you look like? I was like, Eddie Murphy? No, you look like Jean-Claude Van Damme. And we finished the shoot. The guy reaches in the pocket. He goes, here. He gives me a card. It's ICM, Jack Gilardi's office in Beverly Hills. He goes, see what you can do with it. I'm like, all right. I got it. Put my time with Joe. I go home. I had it for like a couple of weeks. I find it. So I'm at my kitchen table, eat my Cocoa Puffs. And I was like, what the heck? I call my cousin up, Gigi. She has a studio in Scranton, PA. I said, Gigi, I said, can you take some pictures of me doing the kicks and the splits?
Wait a minute. An Italian guy has a cousin named Gigi. I don't believe you.
Well, it happens.
Hey, Gigi, you want to take a picture for me?
We go down to the studio, had the pictures, kicks, and the splits, and I get them. I FedEx them from Pennsylvania to California, not thinking anything of it. So I waited a couple more days. I sent more pictures. Then I finally called them up. My dad goes, hey, you got a message here. Actually, it was my mom. My mom says, you got a message. I looked at the message, 310. Where's 310? Oh, that's California. I called them up. I said, hey, this is Todd, returning your call. We're glad you called. Jean-Claude is out of the country, but we're going to make sure he sees, your envelope. I said, Awesome. I hung the phone up, called my friends. Guess what? Guess what? So I waited another week, didn't hear anything. 2 weeks, I sent more pictures. Another week, sent more pictures. Then I finally called them back. I said, hey, this is Todd, just, checking in. They said, Todd, we're glad you called. Jean-Claude is doing a film in Pittsburgh called Sudden Death. We're not guaranteeing you anything, but you never know. I was like, all right. So I packed my little Subaru up and I drove 5 hours to Pittsburgh. I don't know where I was going to stay. I didn't care. I pulled into the parking lot, walked up to the production office, and the girl was at the front desk writing something down. And she looks up, she gives me a double take. She goes, oh, Mr. Van Damme, you're here. I'm like, Todd, I'm here for the stand-in job. I'll have a seat.
Oh, you got it.
So the second AD comes out and says, look, can you come back next week to meet the director? I'm thinking, can I come back yet? Yeah. So I go back, I come back. I finally go to the production office again. The second he comes into the office and he goes, we're glad you're here. Did you meet JC yet? I'm like, no, come with me. So we're walking down the hallway and I see him in the distance, with his robe on, looking at his wardrobe. And the second AD goes, hey, JC, this is Todd. He's going to be your new stand-in. And I walk over and say, oh, Jean-Claude, pleasure to meet you. I'm a big fan. He was like looking at me like, whoa, where'd you find this guy? He's a good double. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll see you on set. So that's pretty much how it started. And then, wow, once Sudden Death started, I was just his stand-in. And a lot of people don't know the difference. There's a difference between a stand-in, a photo double, and a stunt double. So my job was just to come in, get the lighting for the, for when he comes on set, do the movements he's doing. And then when he comes on set, I say, okay, Jean-Claude, this is what you got to do. You got to run to that table, like look that way, look up, and then just run. So that was my job in the beginning. The second week, I was doing the stand-in. The camera was behind me. We're at the Civic Arena, and it was during the hockey strike. So the whole Civic Arena was empty, but then there was a crowds, of extras. So I'm standing there, the camera's behind me, and the DP was like, okay, Todd, just stand there for a second, just stand there for a second. And then from behind, I hear somebody go, hey, he goes, who's that down there? I'm looking down there, and there's like a bunch of these girls, like, oh, yeah, the girl, no, the green's pretty good. He goes, hey, you gotta be careful these days. So then he does a scene. He comes back up the steps and he goes, come with me. We go up to the top of the arena. We're sitting down. He goes, so tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I told him, I was in a long-term relationship, and she wanted to get married. I had this opportunity. He goes, yeah, relationships are difficult in this business, but it does work out. Yeah, I'm having problems, now, this and that. So that was our first bonding moment. Mm-hmm. So the PA comes up the steps and says, Todd, they're ready for you. I go, hey, I'm talking to Jean-Claude, right? And we start laughing. He goes, you better go. I said, okay. So I walked down, do the stand-up. So for the first few weeks, that's all I did was a stand-in stuff. They actually had me standing in for other people too, which is, now that I look back on it, they don't do that these days. But it was my first film. I didn't care. So then I got to do some of the photo doubling where the camera's, behind. You just see the back of Jean-Claude, doing photo doubling. Inserts of, in the drawers, writing stuff. That's what photo doubles do. Because he already had a stunt guy. Mark Stefanich was Jean-Claude's stunt double. Ex-Navy SEAL badass guy. Really nice guy. And I was telling Gabe the funny story about what the difference is between a photo double, a stunt double, and a stand-in. We were the crew was at this place in Pittsburgh. We had a night off, and the DJ was like, "Hey, I'm sure you guys heard. We're filming a movie here, Sudden Death, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and we have his stunt double here, Todd Senofonte." I'm like, "What the?" I ran over to the DJ booth. Like, dude, come here. I go, "I'm just his photo double." Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And Mark was there. Mark finds me. He pulls me to the side. He goes, "Look, I don't appreciate you taking credit for." I said, "Mark, look on my a stack of Bibles. I have never said I was your stunt double. I said
He
photo
thought you
double.
were. He thought you were trying to cash in on the ladies.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't have a
You
problem
know how
with
it
that.
works.
But I was like, Mark, I said, you know, I would never disrespect you. He goes, okay, you know, no, all right, I'll let it go. So the next day on set, I ran over to the stunt coordinator. I said, Gary, I said, do you hear what happened? He goes, yeah, it happens. Don't worry about it. And then I would say, is there any chance I could do something? He goes, you know what? Mark is the guy. Just do what you're doing. You know, your time will come. I said, okay, no problem. So we get towards the end of the film, and I didn't know if I was ever going to work with him again. So I went over to Jean-Claude. I said, Jean-Claude, hey, you need me for the quest? He goes, go give your information to the producer. So I went over to the producer. I said, Jean-Claude said, okay, write your number. I wrote everything down. I go home, and, you know, again, I didn't. And then a month or two later, I get a call from the second AD. Hey, Todd, are you available to come with us to Thailand for the quest? I'm like, am I available?
Let's
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
So
It's like all expenses paid trip to
that-
Southeast Asia, and
that's pretty much how it happened for me. You know, again, right place, right time,
right face.
and right,
Yep.
yeah, right
importantly.
face, right
Oh, and
face help.
persistence too. You know, I mean, it was interesting to hear you talk about how, you know, they said, "Oh, we love this is great," but you kept sending things, you know, to stay in their ear and stay in their face. I mean, that's got to be a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Persistent.
I do have one question though. You touched on it a bit. Did you ever use your Van Damme lookalike powers for evil? Did you ever use it to cash in on the ladies? I know what my answer would be, but what's yours?
I've never had problems in that area. But in the very beginning, of course, you got to take advantage of it.
I was gonna say.
That's what I like to hear, man. That's what
yeah,
I like
because
to hear.
that would be the real special effect for us. We'd be like, he didn't use that power. He's a stronger man than we are.
Oh yeah, well,
I could just see it like Todd. You start doing this for a living, and you're at home just practicing a French accent day and night. You know?
No, we did play a joke on Yamar Yager from the Penguins. He was at this bar. We walked in, and my one buddy said, "Oh, Yamar, this is Todd, Jean-Claude's brother." And then I tried to do the broken accent. It worked. He thought I was him.
Yeah.
But rare occasion. But it's important for you know, because the stunt community is a tight knit community and a lot of respect for what they do. So that was an example of, you know, how sensitive it is to say exactly what you do, because for the first few films, again, I was just a stand-in and photo double. It wasn't until Maximum Risk when I got an opportunity to do the stunts, and that's how I got my SAG card. In Maximum Risk, Charlie Pacerni was a stunt coordinator, and I was telling Gabe on our last interview, Charlie was pacing back and forth. I'm sitting in the chair just relaxing. He's pacing back and forth, looking at his watch, and he's like this. And then he turns to me and he says, Todd, you want to do this? I said, well, what is it? We're going to harness you to the hood of the car and then crash through some tables and chairs. I said, yeah. So by me doing that stunt, that's how I got my SAG card. So again, it's just timing, luck, and I'm the epitome of timing and luck, because if I didn't get to do that, there's so many. It's so expensive these days to get your SAG card, you know, just to be in the union. But that was, and I almost every day I'll send Charlie a message. Charlie, if it wasn't for you, man, you know, I appreciate it.
Oh,
So
great,
one more question. I know we got to get into the movie, but so you said you got interested, or you started this process at the end of boot camp, or were you out of the military altogether when you really got started?
Yeah, when I graduated basic training, I went to Penn State University.
Okay.
And just getting out of basic training, I couldn't really function right. So I withdrew from Penn State. I took a year off. Then I went to Bloomsburg in 90. Was it 91, 93? 93. So I graduated in 93. And then that's when all of the people would say, hey, you like that guy. Yeah. So that's it was after boot camp.
So in a couple of years, your ball was rolling. That's not too bad. 2-3 years after, you were doing it.
It's rolling.
Yeah.
It's still rolling. I'm still, because I'm doing my own acting also. And you guys should check out The Rideshare Killer, the film I did with Eric Roberts. I play one of the
Eric Roberts.
I play one of the leads.
Man.
It's on Amazon. It's on Tubi also.
Mr. Best of the Best himself.
Oh yeah, he's another
legend.
He's got like 680 credits. He worked. Example for him. It shows you what kind of person he is, that he loves his craft. He can work on a film for a day. He just wants to be on set. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to be the star of the film, because all these films he's doing now, his credit is after, all the other actors in it. So he's a great guy too.
Yeah. So what you said, that was on Tubi and it's on Amazon Prime, The Rideshare Killer, Todd, and it's an acting role for Todd in this too. He's not doing kick flips, as far as I know. No, not doing kick flips, spin kicks. Sorry, it's not skateboarding. Gosh, Gabe.
Well, you got your own language going
on. And also, here's a link in the chat, guys, to the interview I did with Todd. I did an hour and a half, but I broke it up into like 15, 20-minute interviews. And those, you guys can check that out later. I cut it into 5, and those are really fun. He tells a long story of his career and just more inside stuff like that. But let's get going with Double Team. At this point, you've been doing a few movies with Van Damme, and this movie is nuts. It starts right out the gate. Van Damme in this, I just watched it again the other day. I've seen it a few times. He's a secret agent or a special agent or something like that, and he's getting a truck of stolen plutonium.
Yes.
And it comes up with this insane chase, exploding cars, driving cars off ramps, crashing them into trains. This is a totally nutty beginning to this movie. Were you involved in any of this, Todd? Any of this stunt driving or anything like that to get this thing rolling?
A lot of the driving you really can't see. They had a French guy do that, but there's a scene where they want to try to get a quick shot, so they would put the camera up there, and it's kind of quick, but I was in the truck, but they had a French guy do the driving and all that.
All right, okay. Very cool. Oh, quick question. I think it's a joke, though. Does Todd have a stunt double?
That's a legit question.
It is legit. Maybe one day.
One day.
So where was this filmed? Was it in Rome and all that stuff?
We filmed a lot of it in Nice and Rome, and Arles, France.
Okay. All right.
Right. So after he liberates this plutonium from this terror group or whatever, you catch him back at his home, which must be on like the French Riviera or something. I don't know where it is.
It was nice. It was in Nice. Nice is beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, and he's swimming outdoors with his wife who's about to have a baby. And
I got to kiss her once too. In that scene. Set the shot up. She enjoyed it.
Cashing in on that.
I was gonna say, listen, it's the things you do for us, for our entertainment.
Right. I do what I can,
Well, let me just say this too before we get too far into this. I definitely want to say this. It is so great to meet you, and thank you for all of the entertainment that you have given me personally, and I'm sure the rest of us over the years with this stuff. Because when I watch a flick like this, and it's got elements of the British show The Prisoner with the island and all of that stuff, it's so seamless to us, and it's incredible to watch.
Yeah,
it is. It's amazing what it takes to put a film together. Long hours. And I was telling Gabe, for sudden death, we had a couple nights we worked 17 hours straight, and at the very end of the film, the crew made T-shirts up, and I don't know if I showed Gabe, but the T-shirt, it was during the hockey strike, and for those few days or few nights that we worked 17 hours, instead of the movie Sudden Death, they put, I don't know if you can see it, Slow Death. That's a hockey player. But on the back it says Sudden Death Crew. But it was. What we should do one day, we should have a memorabilia segment, and I can show you some stuff I've gotten from all the films that that they've given us.
Oh, that'd be
and
awesome.
I have a gym bag. Did you guys know the original name for Double Team?
No.
It was called the Colony.
Really?
And then they changed it to Double Team, and I still have the bag that says Colony on it. So yeah, it's
yeah. Speaking of the memorabilia you have, I met you. It was like August 6th, I think, in Chinatown in Los Angeles.
Yeah, my jacket.
I've done some Bruce Lee comics for an independent comic guy that has the license, I guess, to do sequels to Fist of Fury and all that. And Ron Hall, he's been in a lot of great kung fu stuff too. He's an actor. I think he was in Bloodsport too, actually.
Ron Hall,
yeah, Ron Hall. And he had us all there for dinner, and I wanted to sit by Sheldon Lettich, because I wanted to talk to him a little bit, because I love that, he wrote Rambo 3. I believe he wrote Lionheart and Kickboxer and Bloodsport and all these things. And I sat at that table, and you showed up late, and I thought you might be related to Sheldon, because you both had the like gray hair, and I don't know, you look the same to me. Not gray, but the salt and pepper. I don't know. You look similar. You both had glasses. I thought maybe you were his son or his cousin or something. But I saw your jacket said Sudden Death, so I thought, like, oh, this guy knows Van Damme or whatever. So, but this was that night there. It was really fun. Like a family-owned Chinese restaurant. I had
a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. And that's Benny the Jet right there. He's a fun guy. And then Paco Prieto right there. He's the main villain in
Only the Strong.
Only the Strong.
Only
Mark
the Strong.
Cascos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was also in Lionheart.
Right.
Yep.
He's the swimming pool fighter in Lionheart. Sure. Yeah. So that's how we met, and it was a lot of fun, man. So
I wear my Sudden Death jacket to I still have it. It's 28 years old.
Wow.
I wear it to films that I do now, just to bring back of how I started. It just it's like a little comfort jacket I wear. I wear it a lot.
I wonder. We'll get into this. I know we're stalling forever, but it must be so bittersweet to be on a film set and the long hours and the grueling this and that, but the reward of making the artwork together with the crew, with the actors, with everybody, and then you just all go your separate ways. Some of you work together again, some of you never work together again. But I bet there's a little bit of sadness there, because when I work on comics, when I worked in the mainstream for DC and all that, you would have an artist and writer and inkers and editors you work with, and you do 6 months or a year, and then you'd go your separate ways, and you'd work with one or two of them again and here and there. But it was kind of sad to be a team for a while and break up. Is that true with movies too? Like you got that summer camp feeling, and then camp was over, right?
You become a family. And I always make it a point to meet all the crew, from the best boys, the lighting, the gaffers, the makeup artists, because you want to hear their stories. And I asked them, so what have you worked on? Oh, you worked on that film. Wow. What was that like? So yeah, when it comes to an end, you get sad. But there's a few people that I do keep in touch with, that I worked with.
Very cool.
Now, was Rodman a part of the film from the beginning?
Yeah.
Or was that was the original concept? Like they wanted him to be in as the other half of the Double Team.
Yeah.
And then the name was changed, but I was just
and then they got that spin. He got that spin-off, Simon
Says with Dane Cook. Yeah, that's a special project there. But yeah, I saw that movie too. I think it came out maybe later that year or the year after.
I think
that
so.
was
Yeah,
another late '90s movie. And that next scene that you were going to put up, Gabe,
right?
This guy right here.
Oh yeah.
I remember watching this movie for the first time when it came out. I might have even caught it in the theater, or certainly when it came out on video. And I remember at the age of 16 or 17 thinking, I wanted Van Damme to kick this dude's ass, his character, Quinn. This dude goes up to his pool. He's in the pool with his wife, and they're having their little moment. This dude has his handkerchief, dips it in the pool, and cleans his muddy shoes off, and then puts the handkerchief back in the water. That was so disrespectful.
Right.
I just knew Quinn was
a pregnant woman in there.
Man, I was
That's right.
How disrespectful to
the nerve of him. But he was a nice guy. I forget his name, but he's a really nice guy.
That stuck with me, man. I was like, what a piece of shit, man. You don't do that. clean your
Todd's like, listen, he's got a family. He's a nice actor, Jericho.
Yeah.
I just mean
Jericho,
his character.
it didn't really happen, Jericho.
He's
And look
somebody's
how-
son, Jericho.
Look how dirty his shoes are too.
Exactly.
Right?
They're filthy, and he cleans them off in this dude's swimming pool.
He's got he's got the ocean behind him. He could have.
How dare you? How dare you?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, he tells Van Damme, "We got another job for you." It's one of the great tropes from action, spy, all this sort of, these kind of movies where the guy just wants his life, he wants his peace, he wants his woman and his baby, and he's had enough of the danger and all that stuff. And we just need you for one more thing, right?
Yeah.
And they got what is Mickey Rourke's character's name in this? It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's Stavros.
Stavros. I had a D in my Stavros. We got to take out Stavros because he's a sawed-off psycho.
He's a bad guy.
Of course, Van Damme doesn't want to do it, but then of course he's gonna do it because that's how it is with these movies.
Because that's why I'm in the theater.
He tells him, he's like, you're an alpha, you're a killer. You missed the game, you missed the hunt. You want to get back out there. So apparently he did because he gets back out there. And then that's the same guy here, right? This is what you get for cleaning off your muddy shoes in somebody's swimming pool.
And he runs into one Stavros. He's closer than you think.
Yep.
I gotta say, Mickey Rourke, how old do you think he was in this, Todd? Because in the final fight at the Coliseum, he takes his shirt off and he is jacked.
He was in great shape for this film.
Holy cow! It's like he knew, hey, Van Damme is in this thing, so I got to look good. I can't be looking like a slob.
That's the thing. When other actors know that they're going to work with Jean-Claude, they gotta be ready, be prepared. So he was ready. I met him a few times. I'm going to say a couple of years ago at Cafe Roma in Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look the same, but he's an interesting guy.
He reminds me of an old school. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on specifically why, but he reminds me of Marlon Brando. I don't know if it's his presence, his delivery. There's something about him. It's a big, powerful man presence like Brando had. Even though I don't think Brando was a particularly huge guy or anything, but there was this larger than life. I don't know if that's just me, but about Mickey Rourke, I feel that same thing. That I don't know what. Je ne sais quoi. I don't know what it is, but I feel it. I love this. He sets this guy up. He's yelling at this guy in the car. Leaves a grenade there, just like on the chair or whatever.
It was a bomb, and when he alerts him to the bomb, he tells him, puts a gun to the back of his head, tells him some shit, and he's like, by the way, I left you a present in the back seat. He gets out. This guy looks back like, what? When he shows the bomb, it has 58 seconds on it, and then 2 seconds later, that shit says 1, and then he can't get out. Like, he locked the doors, he can't get out. Boom, we got the classic, walk away slow-mo explosion behind you. Seen it in a lot of films. Now, let me ask you this, Todd. Because to pull this scene off, the actor always has to have no reaction. There's no flinching, no jumping. Has to be stone cold, walking away from the explosion. Did they have to do this more than once? Because, you can't see it happening, so you got the boom behind you. Did that ever happen, or pretty much he nailed it?
Well, I think I wasn't on that set that day, but from watching it, it looked like he got a good distance away when the explosion went off. But sometimes that's usually a one take thing. So whatever happens, they got to go with it, and it looked really great. So
it does have that epic '90s action. And I think the thing about photography, they could use a telephoto lens, Jericho, and that will compress distance so much. And that car could be way further behind him than you think. And with the telephoto lens, you can make that. Have you ever seen that? We've all seen it in a movie, that thing I think they call a rack focus, where the person will be there and then the background will zoom out or zoom in, but they don't actually move. So that's changing the focal distance. So you can play camera tricks if you didn't want him close to it and you want him to look close.
But
movie magic.
Right.
But even the sound of it, that's still going to be pretty loud when it goes off. And for him not to flinch or anything, that was pretty cool.
It's just how badass Stavros is. You guys don't know who you're messing with here. So we get a light speed introduction into the character of this Stavros guy. He blows people up and he doesn't give a shit. That's who this guy is.
That's
He's a bad guy.
And then
we
Rodman
end up
land.
Yeah, what is Rodman's name in this? It's a short name with a R.
Yes, it's Yaz.
Yes, I want to call him Ray for some reason, or Rizza or something like that. Yeah.
But this is Rodman. This is the element that he brings, because this is Rodman at the time. He was in the Madonna sex book. He's banging Carmen Electra. his rings, his hair. What he was in this movie is Rodman outside of the movie. This is real Rodman at the time, like you said, coming off probably the second championship. These guys are larger than life, and so he was a different. He was marching to the beat of his own drum in real life, and so that carried over pretty well to this because that's Rodman. He's a wild dude. They used to have a show a few years back where celebrities tell wild party stories, and he told a story about how he broke his dick. So that's what Rodman was.
I never know when Jericho's gonna take a left turn.
There it is.
The doctor comes out into the hallway to his family. We tried everything we could. I'm very sorry.
I think
don't sign that cast.
I think our PG-13 rating just went up.
Yeah. We're in our territory now. I'll bring it back. Don't worry. But we're talking 9 o'clock. But yeah.
The worm broke his worm, as it is.
Sure did.
So anyway, Van Damme heads over to Antwerp. Where is that in Germany? Where is that? What country would that be? I don't know my European geography as well as I should, but it says Antwerp. I know that. So he heads there to meet up with Yaz, this guy who's like an arms dealer and a complete lunatic. It's in Belgium. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And he's also got a tattoo on his tongue. And And Van Damme is here to get some info from him and some weapons and stuff like that because they got to take out Stavros because he's going to do a terrorist attack at like I don't know if it's a festival or a carnival or
like
an
amusement park or something.
Yeah.
That was another special scene. Yeah.
Right. So, and here you get an introduction into one thing I think that's funny about this movie is Rodman's hair is constantly changing.
Every scene.
You know what I mean? Almost every scene he has a different color, different patterns. And another thing about all the banter he does, he tells a lot of puns and a lot of jokes that are basketball related.
Yeah.
But in the world of Double Team, he's not an NBA player. He's an arms dealer.
Yeah, so not even close.
Is he Yaz or is he Dennis Rodman in this alternate universe? Who is he? I guess he's both.
He's both, yeah.
Airball. Right. Yeah, I remember all those one-liners.
The thing that got me too when I was watching this is I kept thinking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Game of Death and training with Bruce Lee. And it was almost impossible for me not to think about that's just a pairing because of that movie that seems so natural because you've got a martial arts, you've got this giant guy next to him.
Right.
It's one of those great fight scenes. It's crazy.
Right. And this is I mean, I'm sure there was wardrobe for Dennis Rodman, but he could have very easily just brought his own wardrobe. This is for the young kids out there. This is Rodman off the court. On the court, all business, one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game. Off the court, that was Rodman in the 90s, and people couldn't get enough. Remember he married himself?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He was
in the wedding dress.
Right. Yeah. He was doing that Kanye, Kim Kardashian, impossible to ignore kind of guy. But there was no ugliness to it. It was fun. He did crazy stuff, but for whatever reason, it was like fun stuff.
Yeah, he seemed like a cool dude who was just doing his own thing.
Now, we'll move forward with the story. Here, hold on. Here's a picture. I just want everyone to see. I want you guys to see what the 90s were like. Rodman marries himself is what I've Googled. And that really happened. Yes. He called a press conference because he was marrying himself.
Yes.
And to his credit, as far as I know, he did not explain this. He just, of course, I'm marrying myself. So there you go.
Everybody,
by the way,
was watching.
He said he does.
Together after all these years. I'll tell you this too. Just as a nerdy comic book art thing, I will say this. That is the gun that you draw the most when you're a young or at least for me, when I was a young comic artist, I was drawing that gun every time some character had that. It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
But this is another classic action movie trope is the gun porn scene. The walls that open up, all the different guns you could ever imagine. This is one of my favorite scenes when I watched this as a young man. I always loved the gun porn.
Right. And they established that he's like not just a gun arms dealer, but he's got special James Bondy futuristic stuff. Because Van Damme picks up like a cufflink and messes with it. And Rodman's like, oh man, and he takes it and throws it in the corner. And the lovely assistant Rodman and Van Damme all have to hit the dirt because it turns out it was explosive cufflink. So right there, they're teaching you, it's not just, small arms. It's not sci-fi, but it's comic book kind of weapons too. You know what I mean? So that's established right away. So anyway, Van Damme's going to be the leader of this group going after Stavros. And He's meeting with the team here. They're having their pre-mission meeting. You here, you're coming with me. Stavros should be here at this time. And we're gonna surveil him and then catch him in the act or whatever, and arrest him for Interpol or whatever.
Very detailed model here. They got every bush, building, bathroom, ride, everything.
I would like to meet the person that works for the military or whatever that has to build this thing. That's their job. Like, oh, thank you for your service. Where did you serve? And this and that. And someone has to do it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. But I do love it. They have all the tropes. You got your night vision and everything. Is there just a tiger at this? Is this a zoo or a carnival?
It's like a carnival, and they have the tiger actually at the carnival.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what were you on set during this scene here? Were you on set, Todd?
Oh.
No?
No.
Because I was wondering why maybe this is the only time they could get it, because it was like torrential downpour. Like it was raining like
that
shit that night. And the poor tigers out there, but it didn't stop anybody from coming out. This must be one hell of a carnival, because there were still people out and about.
Listen, we'll get there when we get to that scene, but that half Indian part of me in my blood, when I see a tiger, I'm out of there. Okay, I'm looking at that tiger and I'm just thinking, no, like, don't even. Why are you bringing that near us? It's like,
right.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Stavros wasn't fucking around. He was there. And it looked like he was showing up just to have a good time with his family. He met his wife there and his kid there. It seemed like they were showing up, but obviously Van Damme and his team, and they wanted him alive. That's why when they had that scene in the warehouse where everybody they're doling out the jobs, he said, "Who's my dead eye?" And it's a woman, and he hands her a sniper rifle in the case. So then again, another trope. She takes it out. He's all, "Can you shoot it?" She takes it out. Click, click, click. Puts it all together, and he says it's been modified to shoot tranquilizers because we want Stavros alive. That was part of the deal. What was the guy's name? The guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. God, I'm trying to think.
Oh yeah, Belloc, actor who plays
Belloc. Yeah, Belloc from Raiders. He tells him we need Stavros alive, so he gets another crack at him. So he lets her know, hey, this has been modified. And one of my favorite lines is when she says, "I can shoot the dick off a hummingbird with this."
Hummingbird.
Yeah, he says he needs to be hit from 100 yards. Can you do that? She's like, "I can shoot the dick off a hummingbird." So that was great.
Paul Freeman. Paul Freeman was the actor.
Yeah, so they all show up ready to go. She's up there with Van Damme in the little bird's nest thing or whatever, the highest point. So he's her spotter. He has the little scope there to spot for her. She's a sniper. Stavros gets a wind of it. And actually, if you look, the tiger gives him the heads up. The tiger literally looks at Stavros and goes, he looks up there. I swear. The tiger looks up. Stavros says, "What?
Hey, boss."
Yeah. And then that's where that scene where he has the gun, both hands, and he gives the sniper one right through the scope, right through her eye. And then
and she becomes the dead eye, as Van Damme said.
I was dead eye. That was tragic.
That was right on the nose there.
I think that happened in Saving Private Ryan too. The Nazi sniper in the church, he gets shot right through the scope into the eye. I'm pretty sure that happens. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but I during the COVID lockdowns, I would have my nephews over because they're 16, 17-year-old boys, and I wanted them to stay out of trouble. So I'd have them over on Friday nights. We'd watch fights. We'd watch these kind of movies, and I had them watch Private Ryan, and neither one of them had seen it, and they absolutely loved it. That was the last time I saw it, about 2 years ago. But I introduced them to a lot of this stuff. They hadn't seen Van Damme movies before, and they loved them. And then I would have them over on Saturdays to watch UFC fighting too. So I was trying to make sure they fall the way, man.
So Todd, you and JCVD, you guys became pretty good friends offset as well.
On these first few films, we kept it, kind of, hey, what's up? Yeah, good to see you. But then we started hanging out a little more, like, as the years went by.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to hear the human side of these people, these stars, especially in this time. Van Damme was it. And to hear that human side. Of course, he has, kids and everything. He's a family guy. It's kind of cool to hear some of your
a funny story on Pound of Flesh. I don't know if you want me to wait till later to tell it.
No, man.
No, go for it, man.
So Pound of Flesh, like I said, we went to China, and it was a month of night shoots. Night shoots really mess up your eating habits. You're miserable. So we would get picked up at 4:30 p.m., get to the set, have breakfast at like 5 o'clock, and then we'd have lunch like around midnight. But then when we would wrap around 5:45 a.m., one day we were leaving the set, and the sound guy was up on a stage. I guess he was doing some testing. And so Jean-Claude and I were walking by him, and I noticed the sound guy taking his headphones off. He was like, "What is that sound? What is that sound?" And we walked by. He said, "Hey, Eric, what's up?" He goes, "What's it? Oh, it's a cricket. I gotta go kill the cricket." And Jean-Claude goes, "No, you're not gonna kill the cricket." He goes, "Toddy, go get a cup." I said, "All right." So I ran. I got a cup, and we went under the set. I gave Jean-Claude the cup. He goes under the stage, gets the cricket. I'm under there too. He goes, "Okay, here, Toddy, go set it free." I'm like, "All right." So I got the cricket, and I'm running over to the grass, and we set the cricket free. That was one funny episode. We go back to the hotel at 6 a.m. He goes to his room. I go to my room. We shower. We meet downstairs for breakfast. And we're in line. There's a guy in front of Jean-Claude. We're standing in line. There's a guy, Jean-Claude and me, with our plates, because there's like a big cutout, and the chef reaches out and gives you all your eggs and stuff. So the guy in front of Jean-Claude puts his plate out to get his eggs. The chef puts the eggs on his plate. The eggs slide off and end up right in a big bowl of vinegar, splashes all over the place. Jean-Claude looks at me. We just start laughing. I mean, it's just little things like that, where the fans don't know.
Yeah,
it's just, it goes, he's got a great sense of humor too. He's a funny guy. He's a smart guy, but that was just two things that just stand out that, no one can ever take that back. It's just a great memory on that film.
Yeah, the cricket thing doesn't surprise me. It was just this last few months, or maybe sometime this year, he was made like an animal ambassador to
Congo.
So I didn't remember which sub-Saharan country, but yes. And then I just looked this up. Also with Los Angeles, he's been given accreditations for doing animal welfare stuff. So yeah, I know he's a huge animal lover. So the cricket thing, not surprising at all.
He loves animals. He rescues them from all over the country. Dogs.
Cool. I hope that he rescues them like double team style. Like he flies through a window, crashing through the glass, and rescues when someone does a sticker on their car that says dog rescue, I'm always like, they're coming down on the rappelling line, go, flashbangs in the window, coming out with two corgis under their arms. So anyway, the whole thing looking for Stavros gets messed up. And of course, he's got bad guys everywhere. So this Belgian Disneyland starts to get shot to pieces. And so we get a fun shootout here. And the child, is this Stavros' child here? I'm trying to keep this.
It's his little boy,
that's right.
6-year-old.
That's right. He has his son.
A very nice modified pistol there too, by the way. And so this shootout is, the collateral damage in real life would have been astronomical because the park is full. These dudes are full blown, fully automatic weapons shooting at each other. There's some cool scenes. There's one where Coca-Cola, they had to give this movie some money because you got Coca-Cola there. It plays a big part in the end. And there's a scene here where Van Damme's jumping over a counter, and some Coke cans had spilled on the counter, and he kind of slipped on the can, but he still, kicks one of the guys, and when he lands, and then he does someone shooting at him, and he does a flip out of the way from the bullets and shit. So there's a lot of cool action in that. And then this part, Mickey Rourke or Stavros, he takes off, and Van Damme is in hot pursuit. And this is a hospital.
Right. So there was a hospital right next to the carnival or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, right down the street. And so,
so then we get into less action and more cold thriller. Look at the lighting. They're using that classic blue lighting and stuff, heavy shadows, stalking each other through this. And there's, I guess, the newborn ward or whatever. So this is terrible what could potentially happen.
Here's some tough-ass babies, man. These babies
If we could go back for a second, though, I need to know this. How much of that slipping on those Coke cans and everything was Van Damme? And how much?
That was Alex Kuzalicki. Another double that did that. He's a great acrobat stuntman. Alex Kuzalicki did that scene.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, very cool. Yeah, so they're stalking each other, and I think Stavros has a grenade on him, right? He throws a grenade into one of the room.
If you go back that scene where he's right there and you see the blood on his neck, he's telling Stavros that's the blood from his son because his son got killed. And so he tells Quinn, he's telling him, my son was 6 years old, man. He was innocent. He was only 6 years old. And then, he's kind of leaning up against the window. He's, breaking down for a second. And then that next scene, Van Damme scoots a chair in there kind of as a decoy. And Mickey Rourke is on the ground and he shoots the chair up, and then Van Damme comes through the window. And they get a little sparring match going on. And you could see Mickey Rourke's boxing skills in that scene.
Right.
He's like dancing around Van Damme and shit. You could tell he knows what he's doing. And then,
was he training at Wildcard at that point? I know he trained at Wildcard Gym with Freddie Roach for a little bit, but I'm not sure.
I think he did, yeah. Wildcard.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke's legit. He's a celebrity you don't want to run up on. That dude can really fight. And so he throws a grenade, and Van Damme, protects the baby. He takes the blast in his back, the shrapnel and everything, and then that's where he wakes up, all bandaged up at the Colony, the original title, the Colony.
Colony, yeah. See?
Right. Real quick from Teflon Ron, one of the great fans. He's been around the channel forever. Love Ron. Todd, for you, all I want to know is where can I get some cool shades like Todd is wearing? Are these the glasses you told me the story about, or is that a different pair?
No, but here's a story. These glasses on Until Death back in 2006. There's a scene where Jean-Claude walks near the helicopter shooting at Stephen Ray. So I'm from the cameras behind me, and I'm shooting at the camera. At the time, I had contacts, so I'm shooting the propeller. I almost lost my contact. My contact flew out of my eye, and I caught it. So after we shot the helicopter, I ran to the honey wagon and got my contacts out, and I'm thinking to myself, it's time to get that LASIK surgery. So after we filmed Until Death, I go back to Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My buddy's an optometrist. So as his ophthalmologist, I had the LASIK surgery done. When I was done, I'm walking out to reception. Lady gives me a certificate, $50 towards any of the sunglasses. So I'm walking over, I'm looking. I put these on. I'm like, oh, these are nice. I can wear them indoors and outdoors. I still wear them because my eyes are sensitive. So I got these back in 2006. So I've had these a long time. The glasses I was telling Gabe about from Until Death, I still have. Prop glasses. But these glasses are, I've had these for a long time, 20, Jesus, how long is it? 16
years.
16 years, yeah.
Wow.
Well, hold on, Todd. You can't say something like honey wagon and not explain to us what that is.
Oh, it's just a term for a trailer for, actors, stunt guys to relax. So
I wonder how it got that name.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool.
We'll have to Google that.
Yeah, that doesn't make you think relaxation.
On a very special episode of Double.
Yeah, the last one.
I should say trailer.
Trailer,
okay.
That's right.
Trailer.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm going to start calling trailers from now on.
Right.
Well, and this is a cool part of this flick that I really love and I appreciate a lot more now, because I had not seen that British television show, The Prisoner, until very recently, last couple of years. About the secret covert. It's been referenced in so many movies because it's just an iconic thing. But you get retired to this island where you can't ever leave. And they say that you're dead or whatever. And that was the thing that was kind of cool. I found myself wondering if that was, if that show had a big influence on, the writers or directors. If there
that's
was
a good question.
Connection.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, and here
it's really neat.
They're telling him, if you want to live, you need to press your thumb against this screen. If not, the cyanide, this little thing comes up, this little spout, and it says, if you don't, then the cyanide is going to come out of this and you're going to die. So what do you want to do? So that's why he has that look on his face, like, I don't want to do this, but I got some shit I need to live for. So here you go, Colony.
Right. Yeah. So basically, the mission has failed, capturing Stavros. And Van Damme is, like everyone's explaining, he's sent to this colony where former criminals and spies live in these like dorms. And then they meet in this weird place where they wear like headsets and they log into like the internet and they help organize and solve surgical strikes and secret missions and all this stuff. And they use all their experience as agents and as criminals, I believe. They use all of their experience to figure out how to solve these problems for is it for Interpol they're working for or some unnamed organization? I don't remember who they were working for, but it was a international organization trying to make this stuff go right. So that's what he has to do now. And he has to check in on this machine, every hour, every 12 hours or something like that.
Yeah, every few hours. Yeah, right. And there's a scene later where he runs back to his room and it's counting down 5, 4. He's barely made it and put his thumb on there. And then he's pissed off because he's basically trapped and he takes the TV and throws it. And to all the young people, that's what TVs used to look like. They weren't always this thin and 60 inches wide. They used to be they used to have
mounted on your wall.
Yeah, they weren't always like that.
Hey, Todd, my main moderator guy here tonight, John, says, is there anything Todd would like to promote with links? He'll put links in the chat for you and all that, Todd, if there's something you want promoted.
Okay,
do you want people to check you out on Instagram anywhere, or what do you want?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, John, he's on all those for sure. So I appreciate if you put those in there, but I really do appreciate you. So yeah, the old TV that looked like a block of ice, these stupid things.
And that was heavy. The one I actually threw that with the scene. I threw it, but we took everything out of the inside, so it wasn't that heavy. It's just throwing it.
Right. So here's Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
And he's kind of he's kind of the head honcho here on the colony, telling people what's what and what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And that's Van Damme is very unhappy and getting used to his new surroundings with all these other guys that are former spies and criminals.
And the name for it escapes me, but Belloc is basically his keeper. He has to make sure that he stays on the island and is doing what he's supposed to do. And if he doesn't, he is supposed to take Van Damme out. Everybody has somebody like that. I can't remember the name, the word they use, but everybody has a keeper like that to keep an eye on them and make sure that they're following the rules. And if not, they got to whack them.
Right. And he's not Belloc. I know we're calling. He's I looked it up just now so I can remember. Goldsmith. Every time I see him, I just think Belloc every time.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's his
I don't think he would have a problem with that.
He had that very unfortunate ending when he opened the Ark of the Covenant. So
don't do it.
They all had an unfortunate ending, except for
you guys ever see that YouTube video? Some jerk, because I think he's right, so I'm mad at him. He kind of made a YouTube video proving that Indiana Jones is superfluous in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That if you took him out of the movie, everything that happens anyway without him, and the Nazis defeat themselves. And I'm like, you monster! How dare you make a video like this?
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool because
it's like telling me Santa's not real.
Ban him. Let's ban him.
That's right. We're gonna ban anybody. Find that dude and cancel the shit out of him. That was horrible.
Right.
That's the adult version of finding out that Santa's not real. I hope
right.
Exactly.
Anybody.
What a monster.
Because that Harrison Ford, come on, man. The hat, the whip, And they may have been able to pull everything off without him, but I'm glad they had him.
What about the deal with Harrison Ford in the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he meets Marion, at her bar in Mongolia or whatever, and they're talking about their past. And it was 8 years ago or 12 years or whatever. She's told me he's been gone for years. And you're looking at her and she's like, ain't this broad 23? She's saying he's been gone for 8 years or something. What's going on here?
It was a different time. It was.
Is Indiana Jones actually the villain of this movie?
But didn't they? Because technically, so wait a minute. I think there's something where Temple of Doom is supposed to be before Raiders.
Yes, it is.
But they switched them. They switched him so he would remain faithful to her. And I'm hoping she's older than 23. I'm hoping she's 30. Okay. Just so that Harrison Ford isn't, or
it's on the edge.
Isn't a monster.
Just saying, it's on the edge.
It's not like what is it, Dirty Dancing, where he's 22 and she's 16. That's no good.
All I can tell you is that watching her drink, you have to imagine she had a few years to build up that tolerance. Because that was a lot of booze Marion put down in that drinking scene at the bar. I mean, come on.
When you can drink a mountain person under the table, literally under
She
the
drank
table.
them under the mountain.
Holy
That's talent.
crap,
That's
man.
talent right there.
It
Right.
is. That's hard work and dedication.
Jericho, they prefer person of mountain.
Oh, okay.
Right.
A person of mountain. Got it.
Right.
POM.
Right.
Oh my God.
Oh, hold on. Roshi Strider in the chat
Person
said
of altitude.
she was 13 to 15 in the backstory of the screenplay. Kind of weird.
I hope you're wrong. Please be
Huh.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's no time where that was okay.
Wait a minute. Didn't the POTUS just say she was 12, I was 30? He literally just said that like a week ago, right?
He sure did.
Uh,
And if you hold on tight, if you hold on for 5 minutes, he'll say something worse than that.
we still
Just
love
give
your
him time.
impersonation of him. Yeah, you have the great quote of him. You said that's a direct quote. Todd,
It is.
he does a great Biden, by the way, Todd.
Oh yeah.
So, yes.
No.
He's a special
So, hey,
guy.
Mr. Biden, President Biden, what do you think of Indiana Jones and Marion's age discrepancy?
Oh, well, as long as he's okay with it. And wait a minute, 7-year-old, Southwest, 45 degrees. I gotta go.
There you
All I
go.
can tell you is,
And scene.
listen, this is the thing, Todd. I was all right with many of Jericho's, voices and his voice talent until he dropped a dead accurate Seinfeld that just creeped me out
Oh,
completely.
that's right.
I was like, wait, what? That's in there?
Listen, this is
I love
Black Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. Seinfeld is one of my favorite. Three's Company, Seinfeld. I'm
Oh, yeah.
There's no way, and I hate to get up sidetracked, but there's no way in hell that I would want to see a remake of Three's Company.
no.
Yes.
Because number one, Mr. Roper, you couldn't have him. He would be Jack would be, he'd be like basically the third female. He'd be painting toes, stuff like that. He'd have cotton balls between his. That would be all bad. Please leave that memory alone. That was a great
Right.
show.
It was. Jack Tripper was the one of the greatest physical actors.
Yeah.
I love the bit on the show that it was every episode practically where he would have one date in the kitchen, one date in the living room, and he's going back and forth
Loved
between
it.
these two broads, and he'd eventually get caught.
Loved
And
it.
it never got old. It was always funny.
I'm
And I
sure
don't
we
care-
can. I'm sure we can all agree. We'd love to knock on Chrissy's door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Either
wife
one.
watches. My wife watches the show, Todd. So
I
I'll say,
don't care.
I'll say, hell yeah, if I was single.
I don't care if it was Susan Summers or otherwise. I don't care who was playing that part. That was a great show, man. Loved
Yeah,
it.
she looked like she was cold all the time, though. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh, it's cold those apartments.
Those shorts.
Yeah.
It was a great show. But to see something like that remade, to see these people get their hands on it,
are they doing it? Is there something I don't know? They're remaking it? or-
No. I shouldn't even put that out in the universe.
They are
what
now.
you doing,
You
Jericho?
take that back.
They're
Yeah.
Take that back.
They say that my favorite line in a Seinfeld episode was from George Costanza when he says, if you take everything I've accomplished in my entire life and condense it down to one day, it looks decent. That's the best line.
Well,
George
someone-
Costanza.
He's a genius. Someone was talking about how one of the greatest episodes that changed so many people's lives was that time when he goes, everything I ever do is a mistake. So I'm just going to do whatever I wouldn't do for like a day. And his entire life changes. I mean, it is like the most incredible Zen. It's like Groundhog Day.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, my favorite George Costanza line is Jerry has some like awesome, sexy story he has to tell him about some conquest or something. And Jerry doesn't want to tell him. He's not in the mood. So, something wrong? Or?
Wait, what?
There's a bunch of noise coming through. I'm
Oh,
not
no,
sure.
that's good.
Oh, are we good? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jerry's trying to. He has a story. I don't know, some sexual conquest. I don't remember who it was. And they're at the diner, and George has been fired recently. He's got nothing going on. And Jerry's like, I don't want to tell you. And George is like, you don't want to tell me? He said, I'm not in the mood. And then George is like, he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have anywhere to go. You're not in the mood. You get in the mood. Like telling the story. And
Need this.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, he needs it because he didn't have anything else going on. So anyway, back to the colony with all the former spies and criminals and all that. And
Oh, yeah.
Van Damme gets in a
That's
fight
it.
with this big lunky meathead outside.
That's Rob Kamen.
Okay. And
kickboxer.
did you hang out with him much or get to know him at all? Or
Yeah, we became friends on set.
okay.
Yeah, big dude. Dude's a monster. Even the way they show him getting out of the water and he pulls himself up on the diving board, and yeah, that's a big dude. And apparently Van Damme or his character tried to kill him, and he didn't like that too much. So he goes in for the handshake and then pulls him in. I think he gave him an elbow and then gave him this sidekick right here. And Van Damme's on crutches, bandages. I don't mean shit to that guy. He had a beef.
Summer of George.
Yeah.
The Summer of George.
Yeah, he looks like he could kick you from across the pool. I mean,
Right.
dear God.
Yeah, that dude looks huge.
He's got a little bit of
Humongous.
Bane from Batman going on with that belt. I think in the Batman cartoon, Bane had the exact same leotard and belt. I'm almost certain he did.
And he got the wrist weights. I mean, this dude, he was getting a real workout in there.
All right. Nice side kick to the
He boots him. And you're all bandaged up anyway. That's going to be a damaging kick right there.
Right.
Shit.
So one thing about doing futuristic stuff, this is what they say the Tomorrowland problem at Disneyland is like Tomorrowland was built in 1955, and by 1957 and a half, it looked like yesterday land. So you got, the mouthpiece and the glasses, and they're logging onto big chunky beige keyboards and CRT screens. And for the time, it looks cool and all. And it's But then, a couple decades go by and it's like, oh, okay, it doesn't look so much. And it's not a criticism of them. The sci-fi we have now, I'm sure in 20 years, it's going to look kind of silly or whatever and not so futuristic. But anyway, this is the room where all the former criminals and spies, they meet. They use all their brain power to kind of look at current events and help fix them, like big disasters and secret missions and things going on around the world. It's an interesting concept. You know what I mean? And they're trying to help out. I'm not sure whose interests they have in mind, but this is what these former spies are forced to do as they stay on this colony.
I think it's kind of like one of those things where you have this big.
And that's me there with Paul.
Oh, that's you.
Oh my gosh!
There you go. There you go.
I think it was one of those things where you have, like, let's say you have a cold case and you get all these experts into one room, and so all these tough cases they kind of present to them for them to solve. So I think it was something like that. These things that nobody else could solve, they send it to these experts, just like this plane that they're about to show that was taken down by a missile. But they see a shadow and then they do all these different 3D imaging and stuff. So I think they're just a bunch of specialists and they get all the tough nuts to crack.
I just want to say, Todd, that is so damn cool. Every time I watch this flick now, I'm gonna be like, "That's Todd."
Yeah,
right. And Todd, I think we saw in your demo reel thing, and then I saw in the movie, you're the guy doing all the pull-ups and all that stuff on that door jam in his room where he's a prisoner, right?
Dang.
Now I'm thinking of Van Damme. He's super in shape and all that. You do that stuff because it's dangerous for him to fall off of there as the lead actor, or you do it better than him, or how do they choose what you do for him? Is it just based on, this is dangerous, or he just doesn't want to do it, or both, or what?
You mean this scene here?
Well, any stunt, like how is that chosen? Like
the one where you won't have the actor do it.
You know what I mean? But specifically the pulling up in the room. But how do they choose that? Like, this one looks dangerous, or what?
He's able to do that, but again, he would probably that day he was probably on another set doing dialogue, so it's just to speed up the process.
Okay. Okay, so that's, and because I wasn't familiar with this until you told me in that longer form interview we did about what a second unit director is. So there'll be a second director for the movie, and he'll be like in another city or a country sometimes, and they're filming other scenes for the movie. Yeah. So you might go with a second unit or something sometimes, to do other shots,
just to speed everything up, so he doesn't have to do it.
Oh, okay.
Save time and money.
Okay, now, I had no idea about that.
Now, in your time on movie sets, and no names necessary, of course, unless you want to, but did you ever see, the Hollywood excess? Did anybody ever did they kind of ever show off their money, or maybe bring their chemical dependency to work day or something like that? Did you ever see that side of Hollywood that we always hear about?
Me personally?
Yeah, or was it, pretty much strictly business? Everybody's pretty professional on the set.
Yeah, for me, it was, just do your job and go to your honey wagon,
To the honey wagon.
That's starting to make more sense.
The answer is yes, Jericho. The honey wagon.
Right. So the
Listen,
honey wagon's where it's at. Okay.
It's a little bit like Fight Club, Jericho.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't
You know what I
mean
mean?
I don't mean you personally. I just mean what you may have witnessed, on the set. That's all. Of course, no, you're an upstanding guy. No honey wagon for you.
You got that right.
So Van Damme was trapped on the island with Goldsmith, and he needs to find a way out of this damn place because he doesn't want to be there.
Nope,
And
he's got to save his butterfly. Because he
Right.
saw, I think we saw that scene already, or that scene passed. But yeah, Stavros left him a little message written on the wall. I have your butterfly. And so that's when he goes back to the room and writes, I got it.
Right.
He draws a butterfly. He's like, I got to get the hell out of here. He got my girl.
Right.
Classic.
Yeah, she has a butterfly tattoo.
Yeah,
That's
she has a tattoo of the butterfly.
Little blue butterfly. And classic action movie motivation. They either, they killed my wife or they took my wife. And in this case, they took it. So, hey, all bets are off. I'm getting the hell out of here, Belloc.
You wouldn't have been a want to be on set if Teflon Ron was your manager, Todd. He says, no shagging in the wagon. So,
you shag out here where we can see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Take it in the wagon, please. For
he said you can't. He clearly said no shagging in the wagon. So bring it
Ron,
on.
we're going to have to talk about this later.
I'm a
Please.
private kind of guy,
Yeah. Woof. Bathrooms have doors for a reason, guys.
Keep the honey in the wagon. Right.
Right. Okay. So what he notices when he's out here is he notices they got this supply plane that comes by and it.
Well,
I
good.
don't know.
Really
Go
quick.
ahead.
Your daughter takes all these still shots?
Oh yeah,
Is that
she
what-
just
is that what
watches it and uses her phone.
Oh,
Just
really?
takes photos. Yeah. Well, because if you play it, then
Yeah, I
they'll
get it.
copyright whatever.
I
But
gotcha.
if you want to show photos, they don't care. That's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
you know.
cool.
And playing it would be weird because you'd pause it and someone's one eye would be open and their mouth would be agape and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he figures out this is his way off the island. He can, because they take stuff away with this plane and they drop it off. So he figures, oh, that's what I'll do to get the hell out of here. Meanwhile, he's doing a lot of training. And you did a lot of stuff in this scene, right? A lot of the training stuff, Todd?
Yeah, he did all the, the kick in the bucket.
Yeah.
He does all the kicking in the bucket. And then I would hang up on the window or the hallway there. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he's doing tons of exercise, I guess, in preparation for his escape. He's rehabbing, but he's also like, I got to get tough to grab this cable off this cargo plane to see if I can get the hell off this island, right? Because that's his plan to get the hell away.
And the cigarette, he puts notches on the cigarette maybe for each minute or something. And so he has to stay underwater long enough for this whole trip, for this whole thing to happen and for him to grab the pallet and eventually get pulled out of there. So yeah, here's the classic training montage.
Right. Yeah, another staple of great 80s and 90s action, the training montage. Yeah.
Gotta have a good, or training or loading up, cocking the guns and getting all that shit and commando putting on the face makeup. But yeah, some kind of montage, and you got my attention with an action movie. But yeah, then everybody say happy B-Day, butterfly. So he's trying to be out of there. But was it by the time she has the baby, or is he trying to just get the hell out of there ASAP to go save her?
Yeah, I think it was. I think he's saying birthday on the counter, but I believe it's the due date of the baby because that comes into the plot. Remember, his wife, who's now been kidnapped by Stavros, she is pregnant. Remember in the pool at the very beginning of the movie when that guy cleans his muddy shoes off, she is pregnant. They're talking about that. You hate that guy cleaning the shoes.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's just so disrespectful.
Right.
This is my swimming pool. Number one, why'd you walk through the mud with those dress shoes? And do you think it's okay to clean your shoes in my swimming pool?
Yes.
Well, he got blown up for it. So
that's right. That's what you get.
right.
That if you ever do
Jericho,
that, that's the penalty.
Jericho is a former or is a Navy man, I should say. And the thing about it is when we were watching Under Siege, it was driving him mad to see the lack of discipline that was going on.
I'm sure you've noticed this too, being in the military. When they have these military scenes in these movies and the uniforms are unsat, the tie is wrong. The
hat is crooked. The emblem is
they're saluting with no cover. At the end of Under Siege, the girl who pops out of the cake, CJ from Baywatch, she is in uniform, in ranks. She's not in the military.
She is now.
Shit.
She's
Like,
she's the rear admiral. Know what I'm saying?
she's the front admiral too.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot for somebody to point out, hey, that's not how we do it.
I'd salute her.
Yeah,
I did. I'm saluting her now.
Oh,
Jericho.
are you standing at full attention?
12 o'clock, man.
Addy soldier.
How angry you were about Raiders of the Lost Ark being ruined by somebody, and then here you are, Jericho, ruining what I always believed the Navy would be. As a young lad, I thought it's just a lineup of Erica Leniak. I don't know where they all come from.
No, man.
Right.
Quite the opposite.
Under Siege is the greatest movie about bouillabaisse that we have in America.
Hey.
How dare you? How dare you? That's a running joke on here, Todd, because we reviewed Under Siege, which we all love.
Oh,
But
man.
okay, in Out for Justice, Van Damme or Steven Seagal, he doesn't do a great Italian accent. You're an Italian boy from Pennsylvania, so we have our Italian accent we do. So we got it from Out for Justice, but then the next week we did Under Siege, and he's the chef in the Navy, and he's telling the chief he's got to make 50 gallons of bouillabaisse. But when they cut to the galley, he's only got a gallon on the stove. So we love this discrepancy. We love that's
That's funny.
Oh boy, Steve.
So yeah, bouillabaisse does get a lot of credit around here. Aruma Face telling you parade rest.
All right,
So,
fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
right.
At
Yeah.
ease.
Holster your weapon.
Order arms. Got it.
All right. So anyway, Van Damme's butterfly, his beautiful pregnant wife, has been kidnapped by this psycho who, remember, he lost his son at the carnival, and he probably blames Van Damme, obviously. But I think there's a part of this movie we haven't figured out. He was coming to thank Mickey Rourke. He wasn't coming to attack him. He just wanted to meet him and shake his hand because he's like, you killed that son of a bitch that cleaned off his dirty shoes in my pool. And I just wanted to thank you in person, Stavros. Bury the hatchet. Sir. We're all good. You go on being a criminal. I'm not after you. I think that's the hidden version of this movie that no one is aware of. Anyway, they've got his wife captured. They're psychos. And they're going to have her deliver this baby. And we're in Rome now, right? That's we've gone to Rome?
Yep.
Yes. Back to Rome.
Right.
Because he is planning to take his baby and raise it. Talk about a twist of the knife.
Right.
I'm gonna take your son. Since you took my son, I'm gonna take your son, and I'm not gonna do what you did to mine. But so he thinks I'm gonna raise him, and I'm gonna teach him to be a man like me. Ugh.
Right. Someone steals your son. Just think about that. Someone steals your son and has your son rooting for his football team. I walk in the living room and I see my son wearing like a Kansas City Chiefs jersey. I don't even know what I would do.
You're not my son anymore. You're out of here.
Hey, go ahead, Todd.
I said, keep the door open. Let him walk out.
Are you a Eagles man or a Steelers man? Where you're from?
Steelers.
Okay,
Steelers. The steel curtain.
All right.
Black and gold.
All right. Anyway, I'm a Bronco fan, so that's going well this year.
Oh, there you go.
Our
teams are gonna have a run. I think
they're in flux.
Second half. Yeah.
Second half. Yeah. Would be reconsidering honor killing. How dare you, John? How dare you? That is not true. I disavow that statement. I better never see my son in anything but Broncos.
My son, he's going to be playing flag football in December, and all the teams are NFL teams. So I'm
cool.
you better get on the Niners.
You love the Niners, huh?
Yeah, I can't see myself rooting, or allowing a Raider jersey or a Cowboys jersey or something.
Hey, fucker, it's the fucking Raiders.
Hey, what's up, Dad? I play for the fucking Raiders, eh?
You don't live here, you little bastard.
Yeah. Your son just turns into a cholo.
It's taking a turn.
Like whose damn corduroy house shoes are these by the front door?
Right. He's got a girlfriend who's kind of chunky and loves hot Cheetos,
They're mine, fucker.
Look, love is love, people. But this is the thing. So I just want to capture this, okay? So this is the young lady that you got to kiss in a scene. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You poor guy.
My God.
This is her face right as Todd was going in, actually.
Yeah,
Well,
She was delighted.
tight.
She's like,
she was
finally,
happy,
finally.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Did you just tell Van Damme, you sit this out, I'll do the blocking,
I
I'll
got
help with
this.
the
I
lighting.
got it.
Yeah.
Might take a few takes, you
You're
know.
working too hard, man. Let me take care of this.
Yeah.
Take a break. Take a
Load
break.
off.
I got this. Take a break.
Take a load off, boss.
They were like, Van Damme was like, let him kiss her. There's the Tigers on Thursday.
Oh,
My God.
yeah,
I can't wait to
Yeah.
get to that scene, Todd.
right.
Oh,
So
that'd be
so
great.
back to more Van Damme in the weirdo secret agent spy prison,
Yep.
and he's still training. It's getting tough. And what is he doing with this the fingerprint here?
This is
oh,
part of
this
his
is for that scanner
plan.
that'll kill him
Yep.
if he
Yeah.
doesn't scan in every couple hours or whatever.
and that's some
Right.
gangster shit right there. He's
Right.
taking an X-Acto knife and cutting off his fingerprint. So that's no small feat there. And he's about to jump in the ocean the next day. So salt,
Oh,
no
and don't
fingerprint.
forget, the ocean has like these lasers everywhere that are set up
Mhm.
to protect the island if you're trying to swim away. And I think do the lasers kill you, or do the lasers send missiles after you? I don't
Oh, the
remember.
No, they just cut
The
you up.
lasers kill you. Yeah, that's
The
what-
laser
yeah.
itself kills you. Okay, it's that
Yeah.
powerful.
So when I was in the Navy, when you're underway at night, you see there's a web like that, like the razors are all crisscross and stuff. There's a wave or a web that goes out, I say 20, 30 feet around the ship because you're on a piece of metal with all this electricity, the radars and all that stuff. So it sends like an electric web out, and you look down in the water and it almost looks like bioluminescence, kind of like
Really?
this blue you see on the screen right here. You can see it under the water. The lights, the shit's pretty cool, but I wouldn't want to fall over, and
Jeez.
get caught in it. But
No,
yeah,
sir.
it kind of looks like those lasers in the water.
Oh, that reminds me. I'd have to look it up, and I don't want to go through my photos on my computer right now. But 2 years ago, right by my house here in La Jolla, we had that bioluminescent algae. A bunch of
Oh,
it
yeah.
bloomed. My wife and I went down to the beach, and when you would walk on the sand where it was wet, your footprints would glow like neon blue. And then when the waves would crash, they would be glowing blue like a lightsaber. It was one of the craziest. It's like the movie Avatar, one of the craziest things I've seen in a long time. But yeah,
Oh.
talking about glowing blue water, it was wild. That's the only time I've ever seen that. Here in San Diego, we have the Grunion Run. I don't know if it's every winter or every summer. I don't remember. It's once a year, and these little fish called grunion, they all come up to the beaches here in San Diego to mate and spawn, and people go and watch and catch them because they come by the hundreds of thousands. It's a really weird thing.
There was
If
an
you think about it
episode
in an
of
abstract way. People are
episode of-
going to watch fish have sex. It's kind of
there
weird.
was an episode of Three's Company, but the Grunion Run. Remember that?
Really? Oh, I did not know that. But that's another reason I was like Three's Company, because it's a San Diego thing, and I love San Diego. So I'm Mr.
here's a
San
question.
Diego.
When you're going on these trips to these various locations, how many of these locations was it your first time there, or did you travel a lot before?
No, my first time was the Quest, Thailand. That was my first
Wow.
time overseas, and then after that, France, Rome, Hong Kong, Morocco. So yeah, it was my first.
Wow.
How was that, taking that in, and the career? I mean,
It was, again, it was surreal. I keep, that's why like all the memorabilia I have, I look back and a lot of good memories. But Thailand was the most beautiful location. We started in Phuket, and then Chiang Mai, Ayutthaya, and then Bangkok.
Mhm.
All right. Now, did you ever have time to go and kind of be a tourist, or it was kind of business and get out of there?
Usually you have like a day off, but you're so tired.
Mm.
You just sleep, and then. But I did see a lot of great scenery of all the locations.
Mhm.
Well,
Very
it's
cool.
interesting. You were talking about the sudden death jacket, and I know that I saw an interview with Henry Cavill recently, and he was talking. Gosh, I feel like Anna's going to show up in a second. He was talking about getting his, going and reprising his role with Dwayne Johnson for what's it called, Black Adam, and one of the things he said is, he goes, I requested specifically that they get for me to wear the Superman costume I wore in Man of Steel, the first one I did.
Oh, wow.
Because that was of such importance to me to go back to that first movie. He goes, this is now many years ago. He goes, but that was my first time, in a big movie like this. And he goes, I have such a happy memory about it. He goes, for me to do this movie, he goes, I needed that. And I thought, I mean, that makes total sense to me. You're on film, you're immortalized on film in these movies. Your life takes this, incredible, all the skills you have, all the discipline you must have to keep yourself in shape to do those stunts. I've watched your reel, and hell, I was editing the higher res footage into it before the show, and I was started yesterday, and I was just thinking to myself that those have got to just be incredible memories. I feel like that was really great to hear you say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and I plan on having more memories to come. So it's
that's right. Yeah. Well, that's what we're excited about. We want to be, when you've got something happening and more stuff happening in the future that you want us to shout out. That's what we're here for.
Well, you guys should check out the Rideshare Killer. It's a really nice,
right?
Yeah,
nice
I'll post that link in the chat.
Very low budget.
Yeah, John, if you could find the link for people to find the Rideshare Killer, please put it in there. I would really appreciate that.
Now, something that I think was very symbolic before he's jumping off of a cliff. The colony is up on the cliff. They get their deliveries or daily deliveries or whatever. So as he's in the air, he's hoping that they cut the lasers so he can land in the water, do his thing.
Well, that's why he took his fingerprint.
Yeah.
So once that fingerprint hit the device, that shuts off the lasers. So they had to time it right to get into the and they had an actual professional high diver do this really high dive. And then what they did was they would put me on the side of the cliff, but it was maybe, I would say 100 feet up. And then I would dive in because they had the camera looking up.
Wait a minute.
The water.
100-foot dive. Have you ever done something like that?
No, that was the first time. But the dive that this stunt guy did, it had to be a few hundred feet up.
No way.
So then they would put me on a lower cliff, and then this was the first time I actually had a helicopter ride also, because in the scene where you see Jean-Claude in the distance standing on the side of the cliff, that was me harnessed to the actual rock just to get that aerial shot standing on the cliff. And then they'd have the professional guy do the really high dive, and then I would go a little lower and then jump into the water because the camera was right there. They wanted to try to get some kind of shot of it looks like Jean-Claude, and I did it about maybe 2 or 3 times, but that was my first time diving into the ocean.
If you're jumping from like 100 feet, I mean, obviously it's scary, but like, was it really scary? Did you have to get psyched up? You just said, "Hey man, this is the job, just do it."
I just did it, because if you think too much,
100
well,
feet.
Yeah, I found
a lot.
Thinking causes anxiety, action cures it. So
yeah.
And
I'll have to I have actually a picture of it. I'll have to find it. There was a guy on a boat taking some shots, and it has me jumping into. I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Very cool.
Right before this, go ahead, Gabe.
I just wanted to say this about you guys being, Navy man Jericho and then Todd saying Thailand. Aruma Faye, she may or may not know things about military. Military men love Thailand for various reasons.
Well, it's all about the scenery.
Stories.
It's all about
Bangkok.
Yeah,
scenery and cuisine. That's what it is. Scenery and cuisine.
Yeah.
Before he jumps off of this cliff, he takes his watch off and like tosses it, and so that's kind of his. There's no turning back now. I took off the monitor thing. I'm no longer part of this colony shit. I'm out of here. And Todd, I want to ask you this: has there ever been a stunt where you were like, "No, I'm not doing it. That's too crazy." Fire. Okay.
I won't do fire.
Oh,
I've seen stunt guys, stunt women doing fire for 20, 30 years, and they get burned. I'm like, they can do that stuff. I'll stay away from the fire.
Yeah, you just do normal stuff like tigers and 100-foot cliffs.
Yeah,
totally all the safe stuff for the baby.
Easy stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
Real quick, someone addressed me directly. Critic 19, Adam says, "Gabe, that was poetic. Action is a cure for anxiety. It's not mine, and I don't like to steal credit for things that aren't mine." Dr. Robert Glover, the author of No More Mr. Nice Guy, one of the greatest books I've ever read in my life. He will be a guest on the show in the next few weeks, or maybe after the new year. We're talking right now, and we're trying to schedule it out. He says that in his book, that anxiety is caused by thinking. Action is what's going to cure it. So don't sit there and fret. figure it out, and then act on it. Don't do anything stupid, but if you just think all day and ruminate, you're going to torture yourself. I think, was it Seneca or Epictetus, one of the great philosophers? He said, we suffer so much more in our imaginations than we do in real life. So don't torture yourself. If you got to do something, you got to do it.
I like to quote the great philosopher Jericho Action Jackson when he was on the ledge of that window with a heroin addict. He said, "Sometimes you got to leap before you look."
Right.
And there it is.
All right. So he gets in the water. The lasers turn off because of the thumbprint he set up. And he's trying to get his way to that cargo plane stuff so the cargo plane can zip him away. But there's a man in a wetsuit who's going to, I love this. This guy's going to try to suffocate him underwater, which I'm still trying to figure out. He's like, I'm going to put this bag over your head underwater. It's like, buddy, this is superfluous. You can just hold him underwater. The water will do it. You don't have
a spear gun. Spear gun right through his back when he's not looking. That ought to take care of it.
Sure.
Spear guns are legit.
That'll leave a mark.
Now, who is this, Todd?
That was a French guy there.
Okay. These guys look very French. The striped shirts.
Right.
These guys look extremely French.
Sacre bleu.
Oh. So they're coming to pick up the package that the plane is dropping while Quinn is underwater fighting the big Dolph Lundgren guy who kicked the shit out of him outside of the pool. He gets him away from him, takes his air, takes some of the air out of his oxygen tank, and then he takes off because that guy is scrambling for the oxygen tank so he can keep breathing, so he's not worried about Van Damme getting away. And then Van Damme gets out of there, he gets pulled up, and then after they pick up the package, the lasers come back on. And unfortunately, big blonde guy is still underwater when they come back on, and you see the explosion, which I believe was his oxygen tank. Boom, he gets the laser treatment. And then Van Damme pulls himself up. Now, who was doing this scene? Because part of it's him, and you can tell that it's like CGI at the time or whatever. But
when the hook comes down, there's a scene where I'm actually underneath the cargo there. So I break through it and I hook on, and then we cut. And then they have a professional guy doing all this stuff here that is actually hanging on outside the airplane.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I'm sure he had on a parachute or something in case it was bad, but to be flopping around back there behind that airplane while that cargo's going, it had to be cold as hell up there too. That was a pretty crazy stunt.
So you're glad you didn't do this one, Todd?
Yeah.
You don't want to do this?
No problem missing that one.
He's all tigers, yes. Cargo planes, no. Oh, now what if there was a tiger in the cargo plane? You doing that?
Oh, then that's a different story.
Right.
Got the tiger. I'm there.
Yeah.
No, this is cool. He gets pulled in.
You need a guy for tigers. I'm your man.
I'm here. So he gets pulled in, and one of the guys, him right there, knows, hey, what are you doing in here? Which you can't hear people in the back of planes like that. It's so damn loud. But then he kicks the guy and then grabs him with his feet and like kind of flips him over and tosses him out of the plane, and then he commandeers the aircraft.
Oh, but my favorite Van Damme aspect of this, though, this is the thing I loved about his movies. He says to the guy at one point, "Do you have a parachute?"
Yeah, that's right.
Do you remember that? He does. He asks this guy, he goes, "Do you have a parachute?" Before he
kicks him.
Kicks him off the thing. Because it's like, even in all of this, he's a good dude.
Still a good
guy.
guy.
I love that, man. It's crazy. That's one of my favorite things about his stuff,
All right. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yeah.
So then Goldsmith. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry. What?
No, I said I think of the cricket when I see that.
Right.
It's soul, man.
He's got a heart.
He's
got a heart.
Yeah. So Goldsmith finds out Van Damme has gotten away with his ingenious MacGyver style plan.
And his painfully 90s sunglasses.
Yeah.
Those
Wow. I graduated high school in 1996, and I saw a lot of these around campus the last 2 years of school. A lot of this going on.
They're coming back.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
Back on acid wash jeans and all that shit.
So we're back in Antwerp, Belgium. Now I know where that is. I knew it was somewhere over there in Europe. But Van Damme meets up again with Yaz, whose name I have trouble with Yaz. I keep wanting to call him Raz or something.
But we never went to Belgium. We shot all this in France and in Rome. that
Oh,
little scene there.
Okay. And then here he's on a bike, a very nice bike, and he's getting ready to take off. And Van Damme lifts up the back end of the bike. He turns around. They start fighting, and then they go through the door, and that's how they end up on the ground right there. And then Rodman starts laughing, and then they get up, and he starts telling him, "I need this, I need that," and he says, "All right, cash or credit." He's like, "Well, I'll pay you later," because now this isn't a sanctioned hit, so he's not there to just like in the beginning. He was there. I need this. I need this. It was the tab was picked up by the government, whoever he works for. But now it's freelance. He's out of the game, but he still needs Yaz to hook him up because now he's going back for his family. And he tells him, "No, I can't do it." He's all sorry, cash only. And he tells him he'll give him the numbers to 3 CIA bank accounts. So I guess the CIA is back in this. He's a CIA agent. He says, "I'll give you the numbers of 3 CIA bank accounts. When I get back to Antwerp or whatever, you'll have your money." And he's like, "Nah." He starts grabbing the guns back from him. He's like, "No, I'm not doing that shit." And then, he lets him know it's because of my family. And then Rodman kind of has a moment of reconsideration. And he says, "Sounds dangerous." He's like, "But what the hell? I like danger." And then so he hooks him up with the guns he needs. And so they're flying somewhere. And Rodman, on top of being a snazzy dresser and a gun runner, he is also an inventor because he invented this basketball cushion. I can't
Like a parachute.
Parachute. Yeah,
Right.
but they jump out and it activates and wraps them and closes them in a basketball. Again, this guy's not a basketball player. Basketball puns, basketball parachute, not a basketball player. And it works. They land. And then Rodman is pissed that Van Damme made him test out his own invention.
Right.
Like,
This basketball parachute
like,
protective thing. I think he says something about this is the first time he ever used it.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you, nuts?" He's like, "I thought you tested it." He's like, "I don't need to test it." But he's pissed because he basically just pushed him out of the plane. So if that shit didn't work, they were just going to be 2 wet spots in the grass. But it did. And so they get up. He's like, "Boom, I'll see you here." They go their separate ways to get into their shenanigans.
Right.
And Van Damme's headed back
in the sky.
Go ahead. So meet me at the honey wagon. Bring the honey. And then
you bring the bouillabaisse.
You bring the fucking honey. I'll bring the wagon. So this next scene,
we're clipping that.
Because Quinn is headed back to his house.
Right.
He's back at his house, and he sees this woman that he does not know taking care of what he thinks is his baby.
Mm-hmm. But the baby was a bomb, so he runs out of the house.
Another baby-related explosion. You got the hospital, the grenade. Now, and he looks in the bassinet, and it's actually a doll, and it has the bomb counting down. And it says like 2 seconds. So he's out the window.
I loves that 2 seconds.
Boom!
Now, for
huge explosion.
For small stunts like this, small in my opinion, what do I know about stunts? Would that be you right there, Todd? Like jumping into the pool or whatever?
I believe this is Rex Reddick, another stunt guy. But after this scene, then I jump onto the raft, onto my back, and shoot.
That was really cool. Yeah, he jumps in the pool on his back on the raft because after this, there's dudes start coming out of the bushes and shit to shoot him. Right. So as soon as he's in the water, he's literally coming out of the water shooting because it's on. And so he's taking out all these dudes. And then one part that I thought was weird, after not 2 scenes away from this, when she's sitting there, the nanny, she's kind of in a daze, from the explosion because she has a gun pointed at him, but he's not killing her. Is it kind of like, because she's a woman, I'm going to give her a little.
You can tell he feels real bad about this.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, even though
staggering, like drunk almost.
Yeah, she planted the bomb that almost killed him. She's pointing a gun at him. She's walking toward him, but still, I don't want to do it. She's a lady. But eventually, she pulls a grenade. She's going to throw it. Then he does shoot her. And then the grenade kind of goes off course, lands in the pool. And then that must be the biggest grenade ever. Because this fireball is from underwater. The grenade lands in the pool. Oh, boom. He blows up. And this is kind of cool after this.
Right, Jericho and Todd, both of you military men or military experience and training for sure. You've used grenades. Both of you've thrown them just in training or anything, or
I've seen them. I've been there when they were thrown. I didn't throw one myself.
and nothing
I've
like
seen-
this. No big
No.
fire burst and houses exploding.
Movie magic. Movie magic.
Nothing, definitely. But what's cool?
No, this is good. It has to be this way. Because if it was the
Yeah.
real way a grenade was, this would just be like, and it
It
wouldn't
would
be
have been a
shining.
bunch of water in the air.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
it
we've-
was.
blow
We've
up
been
the
over
house.
this, man. I'm a John Woo fan. That's why when I saw him walk into this room and there's all these babies in bassinets, my mind goes immediately to Hard Boiled and all those great action flicks from Hong Kong. But I got to tell you this: I'm somebody who loves Hard Target. I remember I was working at a movie theater. That movie I must have seen 1,000 times. I'd go in there to make sure the theater was clean, and got that poster. And when somebody shoots an empty drum in a John Woo movie, it blows up like
everything
is-
Everything
insane. Man.
everything's flammable. Everything
I
has
love it.
dynamite side of it.
And
what I live
wasn't
for.
Van Damme the first guy to have John Woo do an American movie?
Yes, he
Isn't
was.
Hard Target
Brought him
the
to the
first
States.
John Woo?
Hard target.
Yeah.
93.
Yep.
It was
Right.
93. Only
Todd, question for you from Teflon or on. Were those guns loaded with real bullets on set back then? I think he's kind of talking about the Alec Baldwin thing and all that. Do the guns have real rounds in them, or how does it
No.
work?
No. And if you want to get into that crazy story of Baldwin, you have a safety briefing before, during, and after a scene. Before a scene, the armor comes over with the stunt coordinator, shows the gun, clears the gun, showing to everybody that's going to be in the scene, okay, gun is clear, gun is clear. That gun goes back to the armorer. That gun doesn't leave the armorer's hand ever. When they said a first AD handed Baldwin the gun, it doesn't happen. And from what I've heard, there were no safety briefings. It kind of that kind of pisses me off too, because stunts are so dangerous, and the producer's in charge of the whole crew safety. And he was the producer on that Rust
Yes, he was.
show, whatever. So it's his responsibility for all the cast and crew. So yeah, when I heard that, doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Like
I would.
you-
Tell me
Go
if this sounds true. You did a lot of stunt work. You're doing acting now stuff too in front of the camera, and I think people don't appreciate stuntmen enough, and all this fun action and excitement we get. You guys are unsung heroes and do all this stuff, and to disrespect the culture of the real life danger that you guys are always in with being unprofessional, that has to, like you're saying, that really must upset you and piss you off, because this is your whole profession, man.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
geez.
safety is first, no matter what. And to hear a first AD handing him the gun, it just doesn't make sense.
Mm.
Shouldn't have ever
I
happened.
mean, my two heroes, when I was a kid, and we've just reviewed, because it's one of my favorite movies. Reviewed it, I think, was it 2 weeks ago? Was The Crow. Brandon Lee. I was
Right.
absolutely loved Brandon Lee. And I remember, like, he was my hero. Woke up, I saw that on the news. Went to school, I was just in shock. And my other hero was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I went off to college freshman year, and I had one of those really big, posters you can get in Europe, the fold-outs that like go over the wall. I think they're like paste-ups, but you could buy them everywhere there for Double Impact in my room. Like I loved Van Damme. I got those postcards you could get overseas. When I was in England or when I was in Austria, I'd get them in every single language, and that never has left my mind. And when I heard that story, it just sickened me, because I remember hearing Linda Lee talking about it and just, those kinds of things. And I can't imagine what it's like when it's your profession. I honestly can't imagine.
I tell you what, Brandon, if that didn't happen to Brandon Lee, was probably the biggest action star of all time. He was so
He had
talented.
it all. He had it all. He was super handsome, super talented, super charismatic, good actor. And The Crow, it's a great movie. Like you said, Sean, we just reviewed it here like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine. Someone said to me he would have been great, and Keanu was amazing. You don't need to replace him. But think of him in The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Or him as John Wick.
things like it, Jeez.
And it really always got me watching when right around that time, because Dragon came out right around that time as well, and they gave Bruce Lee his star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. And of course, one of my favorite things about that moment was Jean-Claude Van Damme being there, to honor Bruce Lee and to being there with Linda. I mean, just that's Van Damme is gold in my book. In terms of just the way I've seen him and treating people and the way that he really cares about what he does. When you see those interviews with him, I loved obviously JCVD. I thought was just a fantastic movie to see him do. And it's I can't tell you, it's such an honor being here with you and responsible for so many memories. I just hope we can use this platform to keep promoting all of the stuff you're doing now going forward. That's what's so great about it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's great to talk and to bring the memories back. And I think a lot of people don't think he can act, but he is dedicated. He is a really good actor. And stuff that I used to love to do on set was to go over the script with them and stuff like that. You can't put a price tag on that.
Right. Yeah, I think I remember Nowhere to Run. I think that was 97 or something like that.
Nowhere to Run was early. That was early, wasn't it? Nowhere to Run. That was like 90.
I want to say 95 or something like that. It? But
anyway. No, Nowhere to Run was early 90 because Sudden Death was
93
or 93. Yeah,
because I remember that movie. He didn't throw a kick in that movie. There were a few punches and stuff. Like he was helping some woman he ended up hooking up with, and she had a kid or something like that, some small town. But he really showed his acting chops in that one. That was the first one that I saw him in because, like I said, he didn't throw a kick in that movie, so he really was just relying on his acting. And yeah, he could hold his own. He's great. I liked him in what was that, Expendables 2?
Yeah. He played the villain named Villain.
Dude,
I love that.
He was a badass dude in that movie, man. I loved him in that.
I love how he kills one of the Thor's little brother. I don't know the kid's name. Hemsworth kid.
Liam. Those Hemsworth kids.
Yeah, I don't know his name. There's a couple of those Hemsworth brothers. He has his henchman hold the knife on the kid's chest. Then he spins around and kicks it into his chest.
Yeah.
That was perfection, extra badass. Oh, $2 for Antoine Dennison. Thank you, Antoine. Crew, Todd, love this great conversation. Cheers. Yeah, man, it's an honor, Todd. I know we're kissing butt, but I forgot my chapstick for all the kissing. Yeah. But really, it's great to get the inside baseball here, man.
We love this.
Thank you, Antoine.
Just keep your tongue inside your mouth.
Oh,
please.
Save the honey wagon.
Hey, yeah, save it for the honey wagon, boys.
But this scene right after this is really cool because he lands and then there's kind of like some debris and some embers that fall behind him, and he's like squatting down, looking over his shoulder, having just missed that huge explosion. I thought that was a really cool.
And that was me in that scene.
Really?
Wow.
That was pretty cool. I like that.
Troy Hawk said, "Todd, look at the camera," and I looked back like that, like kneeling down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Look back.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool scene. It was pretty smooth. Like it was almost like he was showing how cool he was. Like, that shit didn't even touch me.
And there's one last guy hiding out by the car, and they take care of that guy, and then him and Rodman are going to get into this, what I think is a little.
Yeah, what does Rodman say? So he says he has some one-liner because he basically takes that dude's head and slams it up against the side of the car because the guy was waiting to shoot Van Damme, and he came out of nowhere and rendered him unconscious. And then he tells him, so we can't use this car, it's rigged with explosives. So he's like, he's all
right. So this car has a cassette or a CD playing a message from Stavros over and over and over, telling him about your wife and baby, and basically taunting the bad guy, taunting you, come here, come into my web of doom or whatever, basically. So that's right. The car had a tape or a CD playing in the message over and over. So they head off to Rome, and Rodman steals like a little Fiat. And
he goes, I know how to blend in.
Right. I'll just wear like a ski onesie, bizarre sunglasses, and stick my head out the roof of a Fiat and drive it down the street here.
Yeah, I'll wear the costume of that black guy in The Incredibles, and then some sunglasses.
Where's my super suit?
and not to mention, he's like 7 feet tall. On top of all this, Dennis Rodman is like 7 feet tall.
Right.
Not claustrophobic, apparently.
Right.
Stuck his head right out the top.
Right.
A lot of good ADR in that scene.
So they've got a tip, I believe, from Goldsmith. I don't remember. But they got a tip that Stavros is going to be at this palazzo or somewhere in this, like a town square kind of thing, and they're going to be able to find him, and then maybe find the wife and this, that, and the other. So they've got. Is that yet, or am I jumping ahead here? Am I jumping
No,
ahead?
that's
Or
about
is that
right.
about-
Yeah, that's about
Right. So they've got their intel. They're deciding how they're going to find him in town here because they know he's around.
Mhm.
Right. So let's see. Oh, I did get a scene ahead. Sorry about that. Let's see. Attention, Ghost, Stavros, Halloween party, noon, Hotel Navona, trick or treat. Right. Okay. So then the wife is in labor. She's gonna have the baby for the. This is sick what the bad guy's doing, by the way.
Yeah.
He wants
You know
to,
what's funny?
your wife to have the kid, and then he's just gonna take the kid and raise him.
You know what's funny? Right before this scene, because that's O'Rourke by her bedside. And he says, "We're going to get you to a hospital." And he's about to pick her up. But as he's walking over there, there's a maid who's walking around the bed, and he just shoves her out of the way. He shoves her onto the bed. That shit's hella funny. He just pushes her out of the way, and she falls like, oh. And then he scoops her up. So let's get the hell out of here. And then the next scene, that guy looking through the binoculars, all the acronyms are there. MI6, CIA, FBI, Interpol. They're all there. And even somebody saying it's a who's who. Everybody's here because all these guys with earpieces and construction workers and shit. And there's a wedding there, and so this is the again painfully 90s sunglasses,
Right?
Round sunglasses, a wig and shit.
They're coming back though.
Everything's coming back around.
I do love. Hold on a second, Jericho. Rodman and Van Damme trying to be inconspicuous.
You can't. if you want to blend in, stand next to the 7-foot dude with all kinds of rings and shit and green hair. That's who you want to be with. If you want.
What is Van Damme's look here? He's like an alternative grunge rocker or something, or what is this look?
Apparently, yeah.
Some grunge street dude.
Did he dye the eyebrows too? Or they painted him? I mean, seriously.
You know what's wild about this look? He's too handsome for this look. His face does not go with the rest of this.
Yeah.
He's too good looking for this outfit. That's hilarious to me.
And he's looking for Stavros, and then he sees his wife,
right,
needing some. She's in labor, so she's going through it. So he sees her through the window, or the window's down, but he sees her in the car, and then he basically says, you're thinking to yourself, the last thing he's going to do is to yell and scream to his wife, right?
Right,
that's what he does.
Blow his cover because he's so well.
Oh man, totally blows it. And Robin's like, "That's what he wants you to do," and he's yelling her name and shit. She's looking for him, and he starts running through the crowd, and then he kind of stops because Stavros is standing right there in front of him with a sniper on the roof behind him, and that's when he tells him, he's like, "I'm going to take your kid, raise him as my own, probably name him Stavros Jr., and I'm going to make him a mini me." And then shit you're gonna do about
angrier.
Yeah, like he just
that really pisses me off.
Ultimate disrespect.
He's all, I'm getting him a Kansas City Chiefs jersey tonight.
Don't do it.
He's all, I love the Chargers.
That's like the ultimate disrespect to a man, to take his seed and raise it as your own, and basically, turn your own seed into a replica of your worst enemy. I mean, just the level of disrespect is deep. So
Todd,
that's what he tells him.
In this imaginary scenario, I want you to dig deep here. Steelers fan, Big Ben, all of it. And you have Todd Jr., your imaginary son, and another man has him in the Lamar Jackson jersey.
Oh, jeez.
What would you do? How could you handle it?
I'd head over to his house.
That's your new home, son. That's your new home. Yeah, just the disrespect. It's just unreal. It would cut too deep. And this guy loses his shit and just starts spraying into the crowd with that fully automatic weapon.
Right.
So a lot of women in the back.
Yeah, all the CIA and Mossad and all these spies, it seems like they just all start shooting at each other. It's absolute chaos.
This guy starts it.
Yeah.
He yells some shit in whatever language he speaks. Right. And just starts spraying, dude, shooting. At least 2 women got shot in the back. I think the bride got shot or somebody. Like, he was just laying chicks down with that thing. He didn't give a shit about nobody. So then everybody starts shooting.
We got an offer from one of the great fans, Antoine Dennison. Hey, if there are guys out there that want to raise them, I'd be glad to make some more kids.
And let me say,
I do like how he says, hold on. I do like how he says more kids. So he's already done this.
Yeah.
So,
But he's
bravo.
good. You just
defender.
start giving him away.
In the Todd Jr. scenario, though, for some reason now, because we've talked about him, and God rest him, I see Powers Booth, so they're going, "You enjoying the game?" So like,
Now
it's
Powers
dark.
Booth, if
The
Powers
Powers
Booth
Booth-
wants to raise him, that's fine.
Well, yeah, it's a different story.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Powers Booth is fine.
He can be a Cowboys fan. Who cares?
All right.
Yeah, that's right. It's Powers Booth.
Also, in Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee, Powers Booth.
Yes.
Now,
God bless him.
the guy with the scar on his face, this guy right here. So, doesn't he die twice? Because he gets
He dies in the hotel.
No, at the carnival scene, he gets shot. This dude gets shot. He has a very distinct, like you see the scars all over his face. I wonder what that's from. But he gets shot in the carnival scene. Then he pops up here because he's a sniper on the roof behind Stavros. He's shooting, the FBI agents and shit, gunning them down. And then Van Damme starts running after this dude. This guy has his little briefcase, with his sniper rifle in it, and his the mariachi, gun in the case. So he takes off running. Van Damme runs after him in this hotel, and then, we'll get to that part. We'll get to that part. Rodman's fighting some henchmen in this taxi cab.
Right, and he gets a few choice basketball puns here. I think
he shoots, he scores, and he goes, "I'm gonna call that a 5-pointer." As he's running away. All these basketball.
Because again, he's the arms dealer, but somehow,
somehow
every joke he tells is a basketball joke.
Everything. Oops, airball.
He's a big fan.
Yeah.
Right. Could you imagine someone this tall, this athletic, and they didn't play basketball?
Yeah, they hate it.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. So the sniper guy, Scarface sniper guy, he's going up to the hotel, and Van Damme confronts him. And I love this.
Is a different outfit.
Is this you, Todd?
No, this is Alex again, Alex Kuzalicki.
Okay. Because I saw this stunt. Okay, guys. So the guy chases him with the guitar case, and it's a machine gun. And Van Damme runs up the stairs to your right, and then curls around, and then jumps from the banister to the other banister. And when I saw that stunt, I'm like, Todd, is there some sort of mattress or thing down below the stairs there if the guy doesn't make this jump? I know it's a very short jump, 2 feet, but you could snag your feet and fall.
Yeah,
What's down there?
I think there's nothing on the steps, but he did land on the carpet there.
No. If he fell between and didn't make it across, and he fell down.
Oh, you mean like down there?
Yeah. Is there something down there to land?
I mean,
on?
I'm sure they had pads on there just in case, but I'm not
because
sure
I know again, it's a small jump, 2-3 foot jump, but if you don't make that,
that's it.
You're going down to the marble floor.
Hey, can you go back to the grunge Van Damme when he's sitting next to?
Find that. That is right here.
Okay, now look what he's wearing. Now go back to the scene that we were just at. He's wearing something different.
Oh,
so
I think it's the same outfit with a big furry vest.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's that same greenish shirt. It looks brown green. Yeah. I don't know. He picked up a vest. We don't need to know. We don't need to know. He picked up a vest.
Yeah, he's basically.
Look at Rodman. you're talking about Van Damme. Rodman's hair color changed in the last 5 minutes, man. He's got a fashion. He's fashion all the way.
But it's like, he's squaring off with this dude because the guy's going in the door and he says, "Hey," and the guy turns around and he's like, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about," and then he just starts spraying, and then he jumps over from one banister down to the floor, the carpet, and then he goes. The guy's gonna kick him again or shoot him again, but Van Damme runs up and gives him the boot through the door.
Right,
and then this guy right here.
Right, he goes into this room and this guy's awesome. He kicks his shoes off in a flourish.
That's Yin Yin. He's a famous stuntman actor in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, because this guy's got moves and he's holding it like a switchblade with his toes.
Before we get to the best part about this guy, which is that right there. So the guy with the scar face, because Van Damme, basically that guy wouldn't shit. Without that guitar case, he's no match for Quinn. So Van Damme kicks this guy through the door. Then this guy is kicked again by this guy because he's waiting in the other room. And so when he kicks the guy back to Van Damme kicks him again, and the guy slides across the floor, Scarface. He slides across the floor, and he's sitting there with his eyes open like he's dead. Now, if you're knocked out, your eyes are closed. But it was weird that he kicked him like that, and then he was sitting there with his eyes open like he was dead, but he's not because he meets his end in a couple of minutes when these guys are fighting. So how was this knife in his foot, or was it attached? Was he holding it with his toes?
I believe it was because he turns it and you see the inside of his foot. So he had to squeeze in there somehow. But probably on that scene, it maybe had some like tape on it, but when he turns it, you can see it's in between his foot.
Okay.
Their toes.
Wow. Right. Yeah, I don't have a shot of that, but yeah, you do see it from the bottom slightly. Do you do any fighting in this scene?
There were some of the scenes where when he comes at us, and I'm backing up, but Jean-Claude did a lot of this because there's a lot of close-ups.
Right.
Yes,
and then Scarface gets kicked into the wall, and the knife is in the wall, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
The knife was in the door.
Right.
The knife was in the door, and then the door gets pushed, and it pushes the knife through, and then sticks in the back of this dude's head. So now he's dead for real.
I gotta say, as an artist and designer, scars on faces are so great. They give you like all backstory just with a few. When you're drawing a combo character and he's a bad guy or whatever, eye patch, scar, whatever, and all of a sudden this guy has a history. Just as from a design choice, that's a really, really great choice to have this really gnarly scar, and you're just thinking, okay, this guy has a history. Something horrible happened. He survived it. Maybe he's out for revenge. Maybe he deserved it. I do love that as a design choice. Very cool.
And there's a scene where the guy who has the blade in his foot, where he goes to kick Van Damme, and Van Damme moves and he cuts these flowers. So it's showing you how sharp that knife is and how dangerous. And then the guy gets the garrote basically and tries to kill Van Damme that way. And there's a scene where the guy kicks and Van Damme swings the door open and the guy kicks the door jamb. Like not the flat part where you kick a door in, but on the side, on the door jamb. I'm like, I don't know if he really kicked that shit or what. That had to hurt because that door didn't budge, man. He just kicked that wood hard.
Can you imagine? You're an international spy. You're a freaking badass. You get killed by a dude with a knife in his foot. Like you'd be embarrassed. You'd be embarrassed to go to your own funeral, man.
Those are dangerous piggies.
Yes, they are. That little piggy did not go to market. It stabbed somebody.
Little piggy's a gangster.
But you can see here where he's up against the door frame, and that garrote, that piano wire, whatever he's using, is going through the door. Like it's sharp. It's cutting through the wood. So if Van Damme doesn't stop him, because he stops his hand and starts pulling him apart. But if he doesn't stop him, that's it. His head's probably going to be almost severed. But yeah, then he takes care of Knifefoot, and I think he like knocks him. I don't think he killed him because like he kicked him or something. He just knocked him out. The guy fell on the ground. And then that label right there is a label for Pitocin that they use to induce labor. So he's telling him, hey, it's getting down to the final hour. I'm here, putting your wife's legs in the stirrups. It's about to go down.
He's got that Redskins jersey just right in front of that leg. Oh yeah,
Cowboys onesie.
Van Damme's all, no. The Giants.
Let that touch my baby's skin.
And then so this is just right out of a comic book. Rodman knows some guys in Rome. They're like an order of monks or whatever.
His brothers. He always says his brothers.
Yeah, and they're going to go down there. They're going to get some info. And I guess Rodman has given them a whole setup when in 1996, 97, this looks super futuristic, all these servers and wires and connections and stuff like that. And what information are they getting from the guys here? What is the purpose of this scene? I don't remember. I just remember thinking it was funny that you had these monks that knew all this stuff, but I don't remember what they're getting here, what info they needed.
I think they're just getting more information on exactly where the wife is in the hospital and
how to get there.
Who recently prescribed Pitocin.
Right.
That's what and then that's how they found that doctor, and that's how they found out that's the doctor that she's with. And one of the brothers, the literal brothers, they were going to log on to something, and somebody was looking at porn So he had to come over and he did. He had to come over and like erase it or put in his password or some shit to get the porn side off it.
I used a Mac. I don't use Windows, but I used it in college Windows because it was the first computer I had. And I don't remember how to erase your internet browser history, but I knew back then. And my friend Luke asked me how. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name, but I didn't say his last name. My friend Chris or Dave asked me in college, how do you do that? How do you erase your history on a computer? So I told him how, because the internet was kind of new for a lot of us. It's only like the year 2000, 2001. Like a week later, Chris or Dave or Rob, it doesn't really matter who.
Sean, wait a second. No.
my friend Todd calls me up like a week later and he's all, hey, you know that internet thing where you can erase what you've been looking at? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how do you do that again? So, I guess his girlfriend was on her way home, I think.
Oh, dear.
Gotta clear it, man.
Luke used the force to do that, huh?
There you go. It wasn't Luke. I had it wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
But, so anyway, they're gonna go like to underground catacombs or some, I don't know, some underground pathways to find their way into saving the baby, saving his wife,
and
Butterfly.
And the baby, according to Rodman's outfit, is in a speakeasy in the 1940s.
That's right. It's a baby. See?
Yeah, see? Yeah, don't worry, Quinn. I'll stick with you. I'm all about the family, see? Let's go get your baby, see?
Okay, boss.
What do you want him to do with me, boss?
But these wires this is like a makeshift bomb that he's made to blast some kind of wall, the way into the hospital where they have a baby. Actually, is it a hospital? It looks like a cathedral. It looks like an old Catholic
I don't know
church.
what they're breaking into. They're breaking into some property.
These wires need to touch to set off the bomb that Rodman made. So he takes a rock, and of course, he's going to shoot it like a basketball. And he throws the rocks at it, and he goes, "Oops, air ball!" I remember that because it was in the previews or the commercial when this was being advertised. And so he's all, "But I never miss twice, brother." And he takes the rock and throws it again. The wires touch, kaboom!
Right, but Van Damme gets in on the basketball puns because he's like, "You need more practice," and Rodman's all, "I hate practice," because in real life he had a reputation for being this guy that was not like totally disciplined.
Yeah, they like practice.
Was an all-star on the court and a multiple champion as a player. A little bit like some of that Allen Iverson. We talking about practice, man.
Practice.
We had that rant where he was just mad at them, giving them a hard time about practice.
Playoffs.
I actually don't disagree. When you're that good and you're winning championship rings, like what else do you want?
I think it's for the rest of the team. Right. We need you to come participate. These guys need to see, you practicing and shit, so they'll practice too.
All right. That's true. You're right. That's a good point. So, yeah, he makes his three-pointer with the skull. I believe with the skull, right? Not a rock that he finds.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's in the catacombs.
Oh.
Yeah. Oops, air ball.
So, yeah, they blow up whatever the entrance. They get in. The baby's born looking about 6 months old, as they always look in movies when they're newborn.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have witnessed a birth. I've witnessed 3 in person.
No.
And it is Todd's checking out on this.
Fire, births. Like we're getting the Superman.
I just do, the honey wagon stuff. I'm not.
Yeah. It's like
with the
births I don't do. Running from tigers.
Yeah. Right. So his wife.
I've got my checklist.
Right. Quinn, Van Damme's wife, gives birth to a 6-month-old baby who will not be wearing a Dallas Cowboys onesie. He will not at all costs.
Or a Ravens, or a Browns, or a Bengals.
Right.
That's why he's telling her, you put that Cowboys jersey on that baby now.
Please don't anything but that. A Troy Aikman jersey, no.
But you talk about the drama. And you think about things that are terrifying, and you put you put a pregnant woman in danger. The audience is immediately like, you got to save her. You got to do something. It's terrifying. Right. Then you have an infant in danger on top of that. And just when I saw that shot, I think it's this one right here, where I've got a nurse and this guy is pointing a gun at her. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you really feel like they need to get there and fast and stop this, man.
Right. Yeah, it's really deranged, the plot of the main villain stuff. It's very
Seriously.
deranged.
Yeah.
It's because usually it's like, oh, money or selling drugs or selling weapons. Okay, I don't approve, but at least it makes sense. This is just being evil for the sake of being evil, which is, wow.
Classic Stavros.
Right.
Yep.
But before that guy can get a shot off, stabbed in the back.
Scalpel to the shoulder blade.
And then the nurse gives him one too.
Yeah, the nurse is a badass too.
Right. So you have a really fun scenes here where Van Damme and Rodman are infiltrating this property, and they're going around and grabbing guys out of the shadow and beating guys up and stuff. And Rodman's hair has changed color yet again.
Again,
it was red at the Palazzo, now it's neon green.
And then he's grabbing him, and the lighting is poor, so he's like, Rodman doesn't know who the hell it is, and he's like, it's me, it's Quinn, it's me.
Right.
Oh,
right.
It's you. Okay. And so they can continue wrecking shop on all the henchmen. And then Van Damme finds his wife, but that's it. No baby.
Right. The baby's gone. The baby has been stolen by Mickey Rourke.
Now he's really pissed.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I'm halfway there.
When they're infiltrating Todd and they're beating up the henchmen, did you do any of that stuff? And because there was a scene where he climbs a pillar on the side of the building, and I was wondering if that was you or if that was him or another stuntman or
the side of the pillar.
I think he climbs the side of a building or climbs.
That was also Alex.
Okay. All right.
Alex is the acrobatic stunt guy.
All right.
And what kind of martial arts training do you have, Todd? Because judging by them clips from your movie, you got something.
Yeah, Tang Judo, little Sambo, little mixture. And then, of course, the martial arts, hand-to-hand combat helped a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of the most fun times I've had doing this show was editing together a kind of, with the best footage I could find, that video for you. And I'm thinking now, now I want to do a cut with everything new that that you have footage for. If you want to send that stuff to me, I'm there.
I like the cut you did in the very beginning. You didn't do the beginning, but you got right into the core of it.
And I've got more movies I think you probably got to tell me about that I can cut in there. I got to get up to present day and future, man. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah. So he has an emotional reunion with his wife. They don't know where the baby is, but obviously Stavros is taking the baby to.
And see this shot right here is the anti-new movie, the anti-woke movie. Yeah. The big strong man. He's glad to see her, but he's still focused. They still got my baby. So I still have a 1,000-yard stare, and she's clutching onto him. Oh, be careful, get our baby. Playing that feminine role. They would never make this now. This is too much toxic masculinity.
He'd be crying, and she'd shove him out of the way or something.
Yeah, she'd take the gun from him and go, "This is how you do it, you pussy." And then he would fall on the ground. He'd fall on the ground and pee and cry. It's about right.
Right. And you'll notice what he's not doing here, because he's a good man. He's not sniffing up her hair. All right, Biden.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's too old anyway. Let's be honest.
Right.
But
hey, come on. Who among us doesn't like a little Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo?
Oh, God, I've got kids. Make it stop.
Hey, is that tearless? Oh, that is tearless. So even here, if you go back to Van Damme's face, even when he's hugging her and he's still staring like I still got work to do. Yeah, right. Baby, I'm glad to see you, but I got to get
right. Because when he comes in, he sneaks in the room and the nurse almost shoots him, but then it's like, hey, it's me, so don't. But when he first starts talking to his wife about what's going on, there's that she's like really freaking out, and he's very stoic. You're right. Mm-hmm. And then give it like 30 seconds of talking, and then he like shoves the medical table over or whatever when he realizes about, I believe it's his son. They don't say it's okay, it is a son. Let him choose when he gets older. But
it's his baby. And they will share breastfeeding duties. They're both chest feeders.
Oh, come on. Of course. So now they know what they need to do. Rodman, Van Damme, they know they gotta go.
Glistening. I always appreciate a glistening Rodman.
Right. This is like Game 7, end of the fourth quarter. We need a few more rebounds from you. Can you get it for us, Worm?
Of course.
You want it, you got it, MJ.
No problem.
No problem at all.
if we could just
Yeah.
go back to the mid-late 90s, not from
Mhm.
Chicago, wasn't a Bulls fan, but my goodness, they were amazing to watch. They
Well,
beat the tar out of everybody.
There's
Goodness.
and he came from the Pistons, so he went from one
Right.
great franchise to
The
another.
Bad Boys with Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Scott Hastings. Those are nasty, and they were the Bad Boys for a reason. They were nasty dudes.
And he even says,
Right.
I don't play for the bad guys anymore, the bad boys anymore. I'm a
Right.
good guy. Another basketball reference.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
there was a story of Rodman was doing something, like he wasn't taking things seriously. He was slacking off. And like Jordan had a talk with him. And Jordan, in one of those Jordan interviews, and he said, after that, Rodman was a machine. Like he never had any issues. He was always 110% every time, chasing every ball. Like that conversation they had, really changed Rodman and turned him into, the great player that he is. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't give him his due because of his due,
Right.
his hair and the way he was. But that dude is a Hall of Fame defensive player.
absolutely.
Rodman was no
Oh.
bullshit.
If we could go back to being a young man in the 90s, I mean, I graduated high school in 96, started middle school in 90. So I was a middle schooler and a high school at that zenith of Michael Jordan basketball. And all we did was play basketball. I never played it organized like high school or little league, but you would just run at a park. We would do it at the Navy base here in San Diego because they have courts there. We would do it at high schools anyway. We would run all the time, man. I was playing, 10, 15, 20 games a week of basketball. And I always like Rodman. I'm not saying I'm good or anything, but that's who I tried to play like because I can't really shoot because I never trained. I never did little league basketball. I can't really shoot the basketball, but it doesn't take any effort to rebound, to box people out. You know what I mean? To play defense. And Ron was the kind of guy, he'd finish the night with just a few points, but a million rebounds. You know what I mean?
Did you say little league basketball?
Whatever you want to call it,
Okay.
kids basketball.
So
It's not Pop Warner. It's not Pop Warner.
We called it biddy basketball
Biddy basketball.
back east.
or rec league. We call it rec league ball.
Sure. I never played organized basketball, so I can't really shoot a basketball very well. But I can play defense and I can get rebounds because you don't have to practice that. You just have to hustle. So I always admired guys like that were just hustlers. You know what I mean?
MJ is the GOAT.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
agreed.
for sure.
I can't stand these kids saying LeBron's the greatest. Get out of here with that
Listen,
chai
until-
cum LeBron.
I try to explain to people the three Mikes of my life. Tyson, Jackson, Jordan. Like these were the superstars. But you would watch. I still watch old footage of Jordan, and his hang time in the air, and it doesn't make any sense to me at all. It still doesn't make sense to me.
Growing up,
They got that incredible mixtape out, the Jordan mixtape. I don't know if you ever saw it.
Mhm.
The music to it.
You know what's coming.
Oh yeah.
My brother, he's 4 years older than me. He had that poster of Jordan taken off from the free throw line, wearing the cement Jordan 3s. And my rebuttal to any LeBron James is better than or argument than Jordan, when LeBron came in the league for the majority of his career, whose number was he wearing? There's no accident that he wore number 23.
Yeah.
And when I don't care if you're pro, college, high school, down to the little league basketball, if you're wearing number 23, there are expectations already.
Right.
You have on number 23. You're supposed to be the best basketball player on this team, period. So had LeBron come in the league wearing someone else's number, maybe you'd have something. Maybe. But he didn't. He came in wearing 23 because he already knew. Jordan he transcended basketball.
He did.
It's just Jordan. When you shoot a paper ball, a piece of paper into the trash, you're not saying James, Jordan, all day.
Right.
There's no argument.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy to me. If you weren't there, guys, in the early 90s,
I gotta get my charger. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Todd's about to lose power if he doesn't grab a charger. If you weren't there in the early 90s, basketball, I can't even describe what it was. Because remember, the internet had not taken over anything yet, 91, 92. Even 95, 96, some people had it. Most people didn't. No one had, a cell phone with email and blah, 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 and all that stuff. No TikTok, no social media. The culture, like 100 years from now, when they look at the history books, they'll realize that the line of demarcation for a cultural change is 2007 with the iPhone. Once you have smartphones that can do what the iPhone can do, that changed culture literally because social media was really invented to what it is now. But if you were there and what basketball was, just everyone would always be running at the park like, okay, you guys got next, or we got our 5, or we got 4, you need one more. And Jericho, Sean, did you guys do it? Because that's like all being in Southern California, that's all we did. You just bring a ball and you go to the parks and the high schools, and we're playing for hours after school every day, all weekend. And life revolved around playing basketball, you know. So
I lived in the foothills of Appalachia, so a ball, you don't play basketball on the street or the curb because it rolls down, the mountain. So no, we didn't do that. But every kid, you guys know this, every kid knew that song, Like Mike, If I Could Be Like Mike.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what your background was. That's what these kids today do not, these kids today, what they don't understand. And I always have to remind my kids, because I've got 2 17-year-olds, and I tell them, this stuff you're looking at right now that people are saying needs to happen or needs to be invented, we were doing it back then. Look at this. You've got one of the most outlandish, and as you were saying, Jericho, excellent players in the NBA in a movie with a guy who grew up in Brussels, grew up in Belgium. You know what I mean? Like, we were international. We were doing all this stuff before, and you were talking about, I believe you said you grew up in, but were you born in Pennsylvania originally? Yeah. So, and then you're suddenly overseas with Dennis Rodman, this guy from Belgium, making a movie, and all of these actors. I mean, that's the world I grew up in. I mean, I always tell people I'm half Indian, 1/4 Austrian, 1/4 Puerto Rican. Somebody misses an airplane, I'm not here. It's like, it's just one of those things. And I was born in Houston, Texas, so I'm 100% American. And I look at this stuff and I go, I told my kids, I go, I do not want you to be poisoned with the idiocy of today. Look at this panel, for God's sake. You know what I mean? It even got a Rhode Islander on it, which should be avoided, but here I am. What are you going to do?
All right.
That's true.
All right, guys. Well, we're closing in on the climax here.
Here we go.
Stavros has the baby. Look at the steely-eyed determination on Dennis Rodman. He knows what he's going to do with his buddy. And here we go, the Coliseum. Why? I don't know. It's a cool visual. I don't know why Stavros is here. He is a lunatic, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, there's that blue again. Those colors.
Look, and how old is he? He's got to be like mid-40s here, right?
Yeah, he's got to be in his.
Like, who looks like this in their mid-40s? This is ridiculous, right?
I'd show you. I'd pan down, but you might see the Cheeto crumbs.
Please.
Yeah, the Cheeto crumbs all over my dad physique.
No panning.
Right.
No panning.
On Monday, I was shirtless on Ethan's show. And I just had a hammer. So guess who I was for Halloween?
Oh, did you have just your underwear on?
I was Paul Pelosi's little friend. Just,
dear! I thought you were a Stalin poster.
Nothing but my shorts and a hammer. So,
but now this is the second angle, but the first angle where they show him shirtless is kind of in the front view of him, and it's almost the camera's almost down. I mean, yeah, Mickey Rourke looks great, man. Looks really good. Yeah. And again, here he shows off his boxing skills a little bit.
Right, because you were saying, Sean, he really does box like he's boxed forever. So.
Yeah, he trained at Wild Card with Freddie Roach.
He's legit. So, like I said, man, this is not a celebrity people want to run up on. He'll really whoop somebody's ass.
Don't do it.
Todd, did you have any interactions, many with Mickey Rourke, or did he keep to himself? Or
Not much. He was very quiet, but I went over to say hello to him, and he's a nice guy.
Okay. All right, and of course, he has the baby here in the middle of the Coliseum, shirtless.
That's your baby, and I think that's his son's toy.
Right,
it's all cleaned up, but that's his son's toy that he had with him when he was kid. Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Yep,
terrible.
Look at that.
So him and Van Damme are going to face off, and he has planted. Did we get the landmines yet, or is that coming up?
That's coming up. He's going to let him know. But see, I thought maybe I'm wrong, but. The way Van Damme is dressed and like this fight scene, it felt very Hong Kong. The baggy clothes.
Oh.
You know how they use a lot of like that stage dust and stuff like that. To emphasize the hits and stuff like that, and the blocks and everything. I really liked that look. Just the baggy clothes, the sneakers. Like he's, I'm just here to whoop ass. That's all. I'm here to get my kid and kick your ass. That's it. That's the look he has.
And somehow Stavros has procured a tiger. Maybe this is the tiger.
It's the same tiger. They've been working together the whole time.
Right. Yeah. The tiger giving the heads up on the sniper. The tiger's like, hey.
It's the carnival tiger. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, now look who's all dry now. Let's do it.
There's me. That's me there.
Nice.
Oh man.
Oh,
And
man.
I got to send out props to Randy Miller. Randy Miller was the animal wrangler, and he was so adamant. He would stand right close to the camera. He had his like wranglers have like these sticks just in case, but he was really adamant on, okay, Todd, just stay there, don't move too much because obviously the tiger is loose. And then we would cut and then set up the other shot, and they would put the tiger in the cage.
So is everyone on set behind some sort of barriers except for
Well,
you?
yeah, all for this scene here, there was pretty much just the camera guy, the director up in the stands, and the animal wrangler. Animal wrangler was always right there.
Okay, all right.
That's the thing with a wild animal, especially of this size. Like you're just lucky that the tiger felt like cooperating.
Yeah.
Because I mean, unless there's somebody there with a gun, if that tiger decided to do whatever it wanted to do, that's exactly what was going to happen, stick or not. And
Well,
man,
if it did, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now.
yeah, man, you got some big stones because
Yeah,
there's nothing
for
to
sure.
stop that tiger from.
I won't use any tongue, but I'll do a little more butt kissing tongue.
Hey,
And in the chat, they're saying, I mean, nah, they don't want the cat, no way, and terrifying, bro. And you should be proud of this, dude, because I wouldn't want to stand there with this thing. I'm
There's
delicious,
nothing-
I'm sure.
It's just pure. It's because that tiger is well
No.
fed that it could do whatever it wanted to do, and it didn't.
Right.
And the scene where you're running away from it, to see you running and to see the way that tiger effortlessly hopped behind you, like
well,
it was nothing for that tiger to do that.
I'll tell you how that came about. Right before we shot the tiger scene, and I told Gabe this on our interview, maybe like a half hour before we actually did the scene, I went over to the producer and I said, hey, can I borrow your phone for a second? I just want to give my mom a call.
Yeah.
I called my mom. Hey, mom, we're doing the tiger now. And, oh, is it? Oh, yeah, the tiger's so nice. I'm petting it. It's trained. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Okay, mom, I love you. Bye. I hung the phone up, and then we shot the scene. So it was.
Wow,
that's the kind of call my wife hopes our son. Like she's like, I'd rather not know. It's just like that's got to be. I mean, what things did you not tell her? You're like, I'm not gonna tell her about the clip.
A lot of adrenaline that day.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because there's nothing to stop that tiger from going off script if it wanted to.
Mm-mm.
And
because
again,
in the scene, they would bring the tiger out way before everybody got on set, and the wrangler would, guide the tiger, show it where to go, where to run, up the steps, a few times, and then when it was ready to shoot, the tiger knew exactly where to run. Now it had something to run at, so that it was trained. But then again, there was a few times where I slipped. I was like, oh my, look back. Just,
and I mean, how big was that tiger?
Well, it was. They had two tigers. The one scene that actually runs was a female tiger, so it wasn't as big as a tiger that actually goes on the gate. When we pull the gate in front of us, and they have the tiger like lay on the gate, and then we run away.
Dude, I mean, because you can see it's a little tougher for you to run up those stairs in the tiger. They're big steps.
Tiger,
and,
you know what I mean?
And this scene, that scene there, the director said, "Okay, Todd, if you slope a little bit, we want to get you and the tiger in the shot." I was like, "All right," So I slowed up a little bit just to get that both of us in the actual shot.
They want to get you and the tiger in frame together.
Like what is this? What do these people want from you, Todd? Are they flying you home in coach with this tiger in the seat next to you? We just want to get a shot of you two.
And then that scene there, running up to the top, then I had to run down the steps. So there was about 25 steps coming down the steps. Once I got on the bottom of the step, I actually had a cage myself with a stun guy in it. So I dove into the cage. We closed the gate, the cage, and then the tiger would come up, and he was guided into his own cage, and they would shut the cage.
When you find, listen, there are certain things a parent does not think is going to happen to their child in these modern times. And one of them is their child being chased by a tiger in a coliseum. Like, I feel like we fought wars to stop this. I don't know what it was.
And one day over the walkie-talkie, we hear, the tiger is loose. Everybody in the trailer, the tiger is loose. Everybody dove in the trailers. We're looking outside. We're looking outside about half hour. Okay, tiger secure.
I was hoping you were going to say that was the tiger on the walkie waiting in the honey wagon for you.
Exactly, that's right.
Now the tiger's loose. Go into your honey
tiger's
wagon.
in the honey wagon. Things just got weird.
Tired of you guys getting these smart tigers.
Oh man.
Set you up. I love that you had to run and shut your own door behind you to save yourself from the tiger. That's wow.
Well, it was just a gate. When you see the film, the very first scene we shot, I would be behind the corner, and the tiger would be in the cage next to me. And the Charlie Pacherni, the stunt coordinator, said, "Okay, Todd, get the tiger riled up. What do you want me to do?" So I look at the cage, I'm like this, and the teeth were like this long.
Yeah.
And it was pissed off. So when they said action, I would run. I would turn the corner. As soon as I turned the corner, I would hear the gate open, and I just heard and I ran, and then I came around the corner, and I pulled the cage in front of us, and then I ran away. Yeah, it was a lot of adrenaline. It's
yeah. I'm gonna need a clean pair of shorts waiting for me when you yell.
oh,
jeez, Louise, man.
Like, yeah, I mean, you did it. So clearly you're brave enough. But if you could make it concise somehow. How scary was it? Like, were you like, I don't want to do this?
Now that I look back on it, I was dumb. I'm like, why the hell did I do this? I wasn't thinking about it. It was the adrenaline rushes. You just want to get the scene, and everybody claps. So that was my motivation, just to, not get caught.
Well, John says if the tiger was setting you up and he was in the honey wagon and he ate you, he would then say, "Actors, they're great."
That's a good one, John. That's a good one.
It says props to the stunt baby. What if they used a real baby? Like fucking idiots. There's no need for.
We want it to be authentic. Put the baby in there.
No.
Leave it. Wow.
A little doll in there.
I mean, there's no if there were somebody standing there with a gun, who's to say they're going to get the shot off? They're going to hit the tiger in the right spot.
They're going to hit the baby.
That would just piss the tiger off more.
Exactly. There's no safety net for that scene. It's just fingers crossed, give it a full belly, and hope that it does what we want it to do.
I feel, Jericho, I'm a little concerned because the 2 times I've seen you get angry is 1, you're concerned over Todd's safety, but 2, someone putting their dirty shoes in a swimming pool. And I'm just saying
respect.
That I think
it's a lot of rage.
The dirty shoes are the worst. The dirty shoes are the worst.
That's like taking a shit at somebody's house the first time you go over there. You can't do that.
And not open the window.
Disrespect, guys. That's all.
I don't know if this is true because there's so many like jokey stories on the internet that sound made up. But my daughter showed me like a meme of like, I don't know, some TikTok reel or Instagram reel. And it was a girl went to a guy's house and had to take a dump, but it was like a first date. So she like took a dump in the cat litter box.
Last date.
And he goes in the bathroom and comes out and he says, "Did you take a dump in my cat's litter box?" And she's like, "No. It must have been your cat." And he's like, "My cat died like 2 weeks ago."
No.
I don't know if that story's true because it's the internet.
I can't live in a world if that's true.
I hope
I want it to be true.
First date, wife.
You marry that bitch.
No. Yeah, dude, you lock her down. You got the stones to take a shit in my litter box. Why was your litter box there 2 weeks after your cat died?
I don't know. It's an internet story. I hope it's true.
You lock that girl down. She'll have
to look that up.
Right.
That woman's gonna help you build something.
What's her name?
Did you see her?
What's
her handle on there?
What's her at?
No.
Give her my number.
All right. So anyway, Stunt Baby and Tiger, Todd's best friend, the Tiger. What was the Tiger's name? Do you remember?
I don't remember it now.
Todd, I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm going to say that baby was a little more brave than you, because that baby just laying there.
Yeah.
That stunt baby has you beat, Todd. But that's
Right.
it.
You know, look at the baby. There's zero worry on that face.
That
None.
baby's chilling.
That doll was trained.
Right. Right. And then Dennis Rodman shows up, and I love the color coordination of his hair and this dirt bike.
Mm-hmm.
I do love it. He shows up, saves the baby with the dirt bike. Van Damme gets away. He grabs the baby, puts it on the dirt bike, not unlike E.T. and Elliot. And they abscond through the tunnels of the Coliseum. And he hides the baby.
Hides it
in a cubby hole.
Because when you have a tiger loose, you want to put the baby's ground level.
Ground level. That's good. Make it easy
on
for
the ground.
And
rule number one.
Right. So Todd, is this you? Probably.
No, this was one of the wranglers that actually was coaxing the tiger towards him.
Look at that face.
Oh, good.
That's a wild animal's face.
What a nightmare this thing is. How big are these things in real life? I've only seen them at the zoo.
600-700 pounds.
Yeah, they're huge.
They're humongous. There's a antique store in the town near me, and in the window they have a life-size tiger stuffed animal. It's laying there on its side.
Jeez.
Gigantic. Hundreds and hundreds, man. That just drives my point home even more. There's no safety net for this. It's just tiger, please don't.
Todd,
tiger.
is this CG right here? Is this computer graphics? Or?
Yeah, that was me in this scene, and that is definitely the CG because I wouldn't get that close.
Right. So here I'm betting they film it twice and they cut it on that bamboo going vertical. Right. That's a perfect seam for the But yeah, I was wondering if you would get this close because it could jump that distance in under a second. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. They could jump like 8-10 feet in one leap.
Jeez.
Can we speak to Todd bravely here though for a second? Because when I think if someone were to tell me, Sean, the tiger has just entered the state of Rhode Island, too close. I don't care where in Rhode Island it is. Todd's like, listen, 20 yards, 10 yards, fine. But I'm not doing 9 feet. That's crazy.
Right. This tiger looks angry and confused. This tiger, like someone just told him something fucked up that doesn't make sense. Like he just listened to a Kamala Harris speech about the economy or something.
What do you mean, honey wagon?
I'm going to put my honey where? Yeah, those things get up to 700 pounds. Yeah. And so what did this tiger land on?
Boxes. They had boxes set up, and the tiger fell in the boxes.
Oh, the tiger did. But wait, did the tiger have a tiger stunt man?
No, the tiger did.
The tiger's like, hey, I'm hanging out at the zoo. I'm watching kickboxer, and the other tiger's like, hey, you look like that tiger in that movie.
They all boxes set up.
So this tiger was okay with falling 20 feet onto some boxes, and they just collected him and put him back in his cage.
The wrangler was right there. As soon as he fell, got him and guided him into the cage.
Golly.
Wow.
Yeah. The acting coach was like, listen, just pretend there's a whole Indian family down there. It's like, I mean, listen, if you Google tigers India, you see like two guys on a scooter, tiger barrels out of the jungle.
Dude, and there's some places where they have masks they wear backwards. So it looks like a human face, and it looks like they're looking at the tiger, so the tiger is less likely to approach from behind because they think the human sees them. And that elephant grass. You ever seen that video of the elephant grass? Where the dude's on an elephant. He's sitting on an elephant, and that tiger jumps up. So the elephant. Holy shit, man. And you're just casually running up Coliseum stairs from this tiger. Man,
None the miser is he's going to assuage all of our fears that this tiger got hurt falling. Cats land on their feet, Jericho. There you go. This is true.
They do.
This is true.
Even if the feet are as wide as your freaking hands put side by side.
If it's me, if I'm the director, I'm filming this tiger scene last because I know they're dumb animals, but they do remember things. And if you do this to the tiger first, and then you try to get him to be nice to people after, he's pissed at you guys now.
That tiger would just slash you in half. These things are massive. Damn it.
And then at the end, I don't know if you have the picture of it, but when the tiger jumps on one of the guys, that's actually Randy Miller. That's the actual wrangler.
Oh, really?
The tiger jumps on him, and
you were going to say it was
goes out out of frame.
Oh, so he
Like-
trains them to tackle him but not
Yeah.
hurt him, huh?
And how do you know? And then people do that with bears and stuff like that. But how do you teach that animal? We're just playing. How do you teach that animal to basically go against millions of years of evolution, telling it when I get something down like this, I find its neck, or there's a science to it. Luck, I don't know, but that's a very dangerous scene.
These
Sir.
Wranglers, they're incredible.
Right. Let me ask you about that really quick. I know you appreciate the Wranglers and you respect everyone you worked with. So I'm not trying to be funny here. No disrespect. Was the Wrangler guy weird? And I don't mean that in a bad way at all, but like to be around these beasts and they could just eat you and stuff, you'd have to be not crazy or stupid or anything, but like an unusual, like maybe eccentric or anything. Or was this a totally normal guy?
You have to be different, but he was very calm on the set. You know, he would come over to me and, tell me exactly, the movements I should make, shouldn't make, and everything will be fine. So
basically,
I listened.
He said, basically, put your hands in your pocket and don't move.
Right.
And, you're basically fine.
I wouldn't carry all that beef jerky
touch your ear.
Don't touch your ear. Don't blink more than 7 times in a minute. Yeah, man, that's just. I mean, what do you do if that tiger wakes up on the wrong side of the cage?
Yeah.
That's it. But fortunately, he did not.
Yeah. Todd, did they tell you if this thing, for whatever reason, does attack you, here's what you do: cover your neck? Or did they go over that? Or they just say, hey, man, if the thing eats you, you had a good run? Or did they have a contingency? Like if it jumps on you, cover your stomach or neck or whatever it's going to go for.
Well,
did they tell you that?
They all they said was, run and don't fall.
You can do that.
But again, they had the Wranglers were so on top of everything. I felt safe with them, and I was dumb back then. Yeah, I was really dumb doing this. But maybe I'm glad.
Maybe not. I think honestly, it's a spectacular
thing. It was all the adrenaline.
Right. How many people can say they did this though? Dude, you really should be proud of it because we're just kids watching your movie when we're younger. We're getting thrilled by it. So it is an achievement, man. Really. Again, how many people would do
this?
Not many.
Like all these other great stunt guys, stunt women, if you think you're gonna get hurt, don't think, just do it.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Right. You told me you played football in high school, right? You told me you did some quarterbacking, some wide receiver and stuff. And I don't know how far or how much you played, but they say that in football too. Like you get injured when you going at half speed, when you're thinking too much and all that. That's when you screw up. That's when you get injured. When you're going on instinct and just doing it. The thing I said earlier, I got from Dr. Glover, the thinking causes anxiety, action cures it. So yeah, I love it, man. I love that. So moving on. Tigers defeated pretty much. Rodman and Van Damme have regrouped. They've hidden the baby at ground level. The Tigers.
Wait. Hold on. Wait.
Okay.
Stavros's demise. So Yaz, he took the liberty of, because each landmine is marked by a little cross.
Right.
And Stavros tells him it's not stepping on the mine, it's stepping off of it, which gets you. Mm-hmm. And so Yaz moves around some of the crosses. So now they don't know exactly where they are. These guys get to fighting, which is pretty cool. And that's one of the things, and we see that in the beginning video when you have those clips of Van Damme fighting in Bloodsport. There's a, and I mentioned this last time, there's a bounce to him. There's like he almost has springs in his legs. He's real like bouncy. And same thing when he's fighting Stavros. Like there's a scene where he jumps up and like kicks him in his back. Like he's almost toying with him. And Stavros ain't no joke, but he's really no match for Quinn. And so they're fighting around and they're ducking and dodging these landmines. And Van Damme steps on one first.
They had Sam Wong. Sam Wong, it was another one of Samo's stunt guys. And they had him do the specific kick here. And this is Garrett Warren, who doubled Mickey Rourke.
Oh.
Okay. So
now, so you said Samo. Did Samo do fight coordination on this movie? Samo Hung? Oh, what a legend!
Remember that TV show?
Have you guys seen Wheels on Meals, the Jackie Chan movie with Benny the Jet Urquidez? Is it?
I'm sorry, Samo was a knockoff.
Right, knockoff.
Charlie Pacherny was the second unit director here.
Oh, okay. If you haven't
Knockoff
seen it,
is
guys,
crazy, man.
Wheels on Meals with Jackie Chan from the
Oh, it's a
early
great film.
80s. That is one of the best on-screen fights ever with Benny the Jet Urquidez, who I also want to bring on this channel. I talked to him at that dinner we were at, Todd.
Oh, that's
what
cool.
what a gentleman, what a nice guy.
Yeah.
But that fight with him and Jackie Chan is insane in that movie. What a great fight. One of the
Martial
best
Law. That's what it was called. That TV show that Sammo Hung had.
With Arsenio Hall.
Yeah, that's right. And Van Damme, so he steps on one of these first, and Stavros is kind of talking shit like, "Oh, you got big feet, Mr. Quinn." And then he steps back and steps on one too. And now it's like, oh shit. So Quinn raises his foot slowly off of what he thinks is a landmine. It isn't. And so they get out of there. And then as they're running out, Stavros, the tiger's about to jump on Stavros. Because I guess the tiger figures, well, you're my boss. You're about to die. So let me kill you, first. And he's like really breaking down. Like, damn, this is it. And so as the tiger goes to get him, he lets his foot off the mine.
Right.
He lets his foot off the mine, and then boom.
Yeah, real quick note on that. Meals on Wheels. I'm telling you, that's one of the best fights I've ever seen on screen. I saw an interview with Benny the Jet talking about that fight. And he says he needed, I guess, for whatever, Jackie Chan to really punch him, but he couldn't wear a mouthpiece. So he said he wadded up toilet paper and put it in, since toilet paper is bright white and it could be a little discreet. So he's like biting down on toilet paper so he can get punched without breaking his teeth. I saw Benny saying that in an interview. So Meals on Wheels, check out that fight. But sad ending here for Stavros. He's lost everything. His plan is failed.
That's us running out of the Coliseum when the explosion, me carrying the baby.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that is, yeah.
And
now Rodman, they didn't have a double, right? He's too big, right?
No. And that was a doll. I'm carrying a doll.
Oh, they didn't give you a real baby? They should have used the same baby from the Coliseum, the same stunt baby.
No, the baby was back in the honey wagon. So
dang, they even got a baby honey wagon.
And here's more of that Coca-Cola sponsorship.
Big time.
Think about it. He cut his thumb off and used a Coke can. Then there was all the Coke at the festival, and now there's like 50 Coke cans in this whole Coke dispensers here when they're coming out. I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys.
Now I want to go get some Coke.
People waste a lot of money in these underground bunkers and all this stuff, all this bulletproof stuff. What you need to get is a Coca-Cola vending machine, because they can stop intense heat, explosions, maybe even a nuclear blast, judging by what it got through here. Because as they're running down the hallway, they're running from the explosion. They realize we can't make it. So Rodman gathers his party behind one of these Coke machines, and they're behind the Coke machine, and they're just getting engulfed in flame. And they're behind the machine, but his hands are around the side of the machine. When he pulls them back, they're fine.
All right. Todd, is that you there in this shot still? Okay, so you did all this.
Man.
Okay, very cool.
Is that a real baby or
awesome.
still a fake?
No, that's the doll.
Oh,
all right.
And
then
that's a real baby there.
And this is post-explosion. And I'm talking, when you guys look at this scene, it goes on for like 30 seconds. The flame, the blast, and all that stuff. And then the baby's just like, gaga. Tough baby.
Good baby.
Babies from the hospital.
All of this just so that baby wouldn't wear a Redskins jersey. All of this.
That's right.
I do the same thing.
Of course.
Right.
If they said, Jericho, you got to run upstairs from a tiger for your son to never wear a Seahawks jersey, I'm gonna have to join you, Todd. I'm running up those stairs, man. I can never let that happen.
Can you remember clearly, Todd, or was it just adrenaline, so it was blank? What were you thinking when you were running up those stairs and that tiger was going? Do you have like, what in the hell am I doing? Or I should have gone to law school, or like, this is awesome? Or do you remember clearly what you were thinking as you ran that, or nothing?
No, because again, my heart was pumping so much and I was just running. I wasn't thinking, I was just running.
Afterwards, did you feel like you could just jump over a mountain, like the adrenaline?
Oh, yeah, it felt so good. Once I got into my cage, once he got to his cage, and, the shot was done in the can, it felt good. And then now, like, years and years later, I look back on it and I was like, man, that was dangerous. But hey.
I mean, that tiger could probably hear your heartbeat. And how, seriously, we're talking like, these are apex predators. They're built to detect things and hone in on their prey. And I mean,
they sense fear. They sense fear.
Yeah,
they
all that stuff. And
So-
it was like a duck. On the surface, you're doing the scene, and this is what I'm supposed to do. But inside, you're freaking out a little bit, and I'm sure that tiger knew. Jeez, Louise, man.
Goodness. Right.
Crazy.
So Goldsmith is going to betray him here at the end. Who has the smoke bomb? I forgot who has this. Rodman or Van Dam? One of them.
Or I'm sorry,
Right.
Rodman.
Well, it was.
Rodman.
Remember, he flips the coin up, and then it
Right.
explodes.
Right. The coin. It's the smoke bomb coin. That's right. Then Van Dam was able to make his getaway, and that be that.
He has a very last line where he says, "Of course they're going to blame this on me." Right. He's standing there. Everybody else takes off, and he's standing there, hands on his hips, staring at the destruction of the Colosseum.
One of the wonders of the world, destroyed by Stavros.
And then don't forget when he goes toodaloo.
Oh yeah, and when he leans inside the car and he looks at his hand, he's like, "Toodaloo, what the hell?"
Yeah. So this is a wild movie. This is definitely just total 90s. This movie.
And then I got to just drive. And then I drive off in the car there.
That's right.
Okay.
Very cool.
I love that, man. That's such a great shot.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So Todd, any in summation, Double Team, one of the better experiences, weirder experiences, not so good, or like compared to your other ones?
This stands out, of course. From all the rest. Of course, Knockoff. There was another close scene in the little speedboat. We're driving the speedboat, and we have to drive it in between these two barges. And the scene was, I drive right to the tow rope. I'm supposed to get up in my seat, jump off on the hook. But the scene was, I got right to there, and then the boat stalled. So the barge crashed into our little boat, because there was a PA right up front. And I'm like, the boat stalled. I'm looking this way, and the boat crashes into us. And so that was a scary moment. But Double Team is probably up there of, the most, the most dangerous, most adrenaline rush I've had.
Did you get to go? No, so you do the stunts and all this stuff. Do you then get to go to the Hollywood premiere? Or do people who do all the stunts in the production, they don't get to go as much? Because I know there's only a few hundred seats at the Chinese theater. So how does that work?
I didn't go to any of these premieres.
No. Okay. All right. Very cool.
I shared a video with you, or it should be there.
I got it.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, but I've been rewatching this a lot today and yesterday.
Okay. How long is this? I'll add it in right now, but how long is this real quick?
Couple minutes. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but
it's cool. All right. This is footage from the Honey Wagon, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Uncut.
Those Fish Legends, yeah.
Yeah.
When did this come out?
This was back in 96.
So that was a busy year for you.
All right. And okay, we'll check this out, and then we'll go right after. Jericho, you have to go now. You have that appointment or whatever. You got to get up early to catch a flight, right?
Early reveille. Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Todd. Pleasure.
Make sure your tray table is in upright lock position.
Never. Thank you, guys. Another great live. Pleasure meeting you, Todd. I hope we can do this again. Thank you for all the wonderful work you've done.
I had a great time. Thanks.
Thank you for giving us something to talk about here. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Catch you guys later. Peace.
All right. Bye, Jericho. See you next week, buddy. All right. So, yeah, he had an early out tonight, guys. We announced that earlier, but we'll finish this video, see if Todd has any more comments, and then we'll call it a night. Thank you so much for joining us, Todd. Let's check this out.
Thank you.
I got 5 more minutes.
All right. Oh. That's awesome right there. I don't want to go too much further because I don't want YouTube to freeze us. Because if you play too much footage, they'll freeze us.
Amazing.
But, yeah, that is outrageously good stuff, Todd. That is amazing,
Thanks,
dude.
Appreciate it.
I am so happy you came on tonight. I really appreciate your time, man.
I'm glad I met you that one night.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And remember, I told you when I walked into that the dinner we had.
Right.
I was going to go to the right to sit with Don Wilson, and then I looked over and I said, "Oh, there's Sheldon." So then I walked over to the left and sat next to you.
And there you go. The rest is history. And now Todd and I are breeding tigers for action movies.
Of course. Hey.
Side business that we have. We call it Honey Wagon Productions. We call our company.
There you go.
So, while we have you for just a few more minutes, is there anything you want to say or promote or anything else you want to tell us about being a stuntman? Or did you have another question?
I'm glad I came on. I mean, this is really cool. Brings back a lot of good memories. And, the films that I told you to check out, the Rideshare Killer, and I did some sci-fi films, Super Shark, Jersey Shore Shark Attack, and then I did this comedy called My Redneck Neighbor with Eric Roberts also. It's not out yet, but I play this very flamboyant hick. So it was, I'm not going to say out of my comfort zone, but I got into character. But a lot of fun. I like to do comedy too, as well as dramatic stuff and action.
Any stuff you want to point me to at any point to put together, more real stuff so we can, promote you on the show, and any projects upcoming? I'll tell you, we're all in the independent scene, here. Obviously, I'm sure Gabe's talked to you about that, and the folks in our chat love to back independent creators and back their projects. They're a really motivated group of people. So when you've got a project that's coming out or anything you want to promote, let us know, because they when you come in here, and I know you know this because you probably connect with fans all the time, but this is a group you can really connect with.
Well, I have some projects coming up. It's on paper right now. So once we get that ball rolling, we'll definitely collaborate.
Yeah, we'll shout it out everywhere.
For reals. And Shanth is great at video editing. He does, for our group of independent comic book creators, he does all of our intros and stuff, and he's done a lot of trailers for people. So and he put that stuff together that I played at the beginning of the show. And my wife is in the chat. Todd, you met her at dinner, and she says, "Hi, Todd. Good to see you on here."
Hey, there she is.
Yeah, 26 years married on the 13th.
Wow.
26 years, the smallest handcuff in the world.
Congrats. That don't come off, does it?
That's right.
Well, better not. I'll be running like that, like you from that tiger.
Especially if she's looking. Don't take it off when she's looking.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Well, guys, it was great, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's Double Team. Check it out. Watch it with friends and have a blast. It is a wacky movie. It's action-packed. And Todd risked his life to make this movie. You understand? What? I'll ask you one last thing. We'll let you go.
Jeez. What?
Yeah,
what?
When you told your mom the truth about the tiger way later, was she like, "What in the hell is wrong with you?"
She said, "Don't ever do that again." Okay. I won't.
She's like, "Oh, Mr. Movie Stars, parting with tigers and Van Damme." All right, guys. We don't have a movie for next Wednesday night, Sean. We'll have to talk about it with Jericho.
We'll have to talk about it. This has totally consumed us, and it's a real honor to meet you, my friend. It is.
Todd, if you want
too.
to come back on, I hope you had fun. If you want to come
man.
back on and do another one of your movies sometime, no rush, but we would love to have you back. It's an honor to have you. So
we'd love to promote anything you're doing.
Obviously, stay in touch with you, bud.
We'll do it again.
Night,
We definitely will.
Next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific. I don't know what the hell movie we're reviewing, but it's going to be a lot of fun as always. Be back here. Make sure you hit the like and you're subscribed. John has been putting Todd's links in the chat and all that for his Instagram and his Twitter, so make sure you check that. We will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.